Call to order the Grant County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for April 20th, 2017. Welcome, everybody. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, as the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
If everybody will please turn their cell phones to a silent mode, we'd appreciate it. Interruptions just slow us down. Is there any changes that need to come on the agenda? Can I get a motion to approve that agenda?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the regular meeting agenda. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Public input. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Any individual who would like to discuss an item in more depth may request to be placed on a future agenda. Request forms are available in the county manager's office. Is there any public input today? Gabe. Not this Gabe, that Gabe. So I understand you're a new business owner in town too, Mr.
That's true, yeah. Is it?
Congratulations. Yeah.
There we go. Is that on?
Yeah.
All right.
Move it up to your mouth a little bit though.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Just wanted to provide an update for fire season 2017. So my name is Gabe Holguin. I'm the Fire and Aviation Staff Officer for the Gila National Forest. And so I just wanted to give you an idea on what we're looking at for fire season and resources that we have on board and what we're doing to get ready for this coming fire season. So I'll try to be less than 5 minutes. So first off, we have our normal contingent of resources, about 9 engines, 4 hand crews, a couple of hot shot crews. We have our tanker base up and ready to go with the thanks of Randy and the county. And also, one thing I really wanted to highlight this year is that a couple of days ago, we had a recruitment meeting for a camp crew program, which is a relatively new program. We started it in 2015, and basically what it is we go out and we recruit high school students, juniors and seniors that are 17 years old and older, to come out and be a part of this program. Basically, their logistical support, they come out and support fire camp. They don't go out on the fire line. They just help to keep the camps clean, help to serve food, get rid of trash, provide supplies to the firefighters, that kind of thing. So it's a really good program for the community. We recruited about 50 high school kids from Cobre, Silver, Cliff, Animas, Reserve, and all of Leopold. So we had a good turnout the other night, and the real intent of this program is not just to get these kids working, but also to expose them to careers in natural resources. And that's a big thing for me, is to find somebody to replace me when I retire, basically. So, we have a 3.3 million acre playground for them right here, educational opportunities. I don't really think people understand the greatness of the Gila National Forest, and trying to get some of these millennials more exposed to our forest. So that's a big deal, and we'll continue to do that year after year. And, so with that, as far as the outlook for the season, we look at 5 different factors when we start looking at fire season to help us kind of determine what that's going to look like. First one being the status of the drought, and as of now, our drought is totally alleviated. You know, we had a couple of good winters now with some decent precipitation, and there's, you know, drought. According to the indices that we look at, you know, the drought status is alleviated. So that's a good thing. It's really helpful for us when we start managing fire, managing wildfire. The next thing we look at is fine field conditions, which is basically your grasses and your wildflowers and that kind of stuff. You know, there's an abundant carryover from last year and probably from the year before of grass. If you spend any time out in the woods, you'll see that you know, grass is up to your knees, and you know, with the good winters that we've had and the extended growing season, we have potential to grow more this spring. So we do have an abundance of fine fuels, which will, you know, play a part in the fire season this year. The next thing we look at is seasonal temperatures and precipitation. And one thing I wanted to point out this year, as compared to years past, well, let me start with years past. So lots of you probably remember the Miller Fire, the Whitewater Baldy Fire, the Silver Fire, some very large fires on the Gila National Forest. Well, those fires occurred on years when we were very dry. So the Miller Fire occurred when, and this is based on like 122 years of data. So the year the Miller Fire occurred, we were ranked the sixth driest year that year. The year that the Whitewater Baldy Fire occurred, we were the second driest year during that period of time that we've been recording weather. So if you look at this year, it's a much different picture. Let me find that slide real quick. I believe we are the 9th wettest year this year after our winter precipitation. I can't seem to find that slide. Oh, there we go. So yeah, so temperature trends, we are the second warmest. So temperature, we're going to be up there, and I think it's going to be a really hot summer. At least that's what the weather folks are telling us. But as far as precipitation goes, it's the 9th wettest in that, you know, in that 120-year period. So precipitation-wise, we're looking real good, but we have the potential to grow lots of grass, and you know, it may not affect us this year so much because it takes time for the grasses to cure out and to be available to burn. So we'll see what it brings. You know, monsoon is another factor we look at, and it's been pretty regular. You know, if you lived around here for any period of time, you know, monsoons typically start around the 4th of July. So that's been pretty reliable the last several years. So, you know, when you put all those factors together, our predictive services group, you know, tries to quantify fire season, and basically the eastern part of the state, from the Rio Grande east, is looking to have an above normal fire season, and as far as us here in the southwest corner of the state, we're looking at a normal year for fire season. So nothing outrageous. So with that, you know, it looks pretty similar to last year, and last year was a really good year for us to manage wildfire, to achieve desired conditions out there on the landscape, and so we're looking to do that again this year. Last year we were pretty successful. We managed the Miller Fire, the Turkey Fire, the McKenna Fire, some other wildfires that you know, they were basically out there in the middle of the Gila wilderness, and they did lots of great things. They cleaned up some of the ground fuels. They do some good stuff out there on the landscape. You know, we live in a fire-dependent ecosystem, and our forests depend on fire to recycle nutrients. You know, so we can't exclude it, and if we exclude fire, then we end up with large fires on drought years that we can't control, and we can't put people in there to deal with those fires. So this is a good year to manage some fire, to get to those conditions that we're trying to get our forests to. So you know, as far as some pre-planning that we've done this year, excuse me, we met internally as a forest with all the 6 districts on the Gila National Forest, and we go through and we throw the maps on the table, and we look at our values at risk out there. We look at, what's most concerning to us. Is it the wildland-urban interface where we have homes right up against the forest? Is it infrastructure where we have power lines? We have some large power lines running through the Gila. Is it the natural resources out there? We have many threatened and endangered species, Gila trout, Mexican spotted owl. We have the wolves out there now. So those are some of the values that we look at and talk about with each district. And we look for areas of opportunity to manage wildfire for the beneficial objectives, and we look for areas of concern. So we've identified those on all the districts, and we do a lot of planning pre-season to get ready for the fire season. So, I guess I would ask you folks, what is your most concerning value at risk in Grant County?
Any questions? Is that what you're saying?
Not quite, almost.
I'll turn them loose on you if you want me to.
Not yet. So the other thing that we've done pre-season planning-wise is I met with Randy via the county fire, and with Jeff Fell from the Silver City Fire Department. We had a pre-season planning meeting just to discuss our response to wildfire within Grant County, and really those multi-agency responses, because those can be cumbersome at times. That we're all working on different radio frequencies. We all operate just a little bit differently, so we try to get together pre-season so that we can discuss, try and work out some of those kinks before we actually have to respond to a fire. And one thing that we're doing this year a little bit differently is we're planning on having a sand table exercise, which is, it's a sand table exercise is basically a scenario that we develop, and we approach it real time, so we act like we're actually there responding to that incident or that fire, and we talk to each other as if we're actually on a fire. So we try to work out some of those bugs in advance, and identify some of those bugs that might come up. So it's a really good exercise for us to try to coordinate a little bit better, and we are working on planning that. So we'll see. We'll probably get that going in the next couple of weeks, but anyway, so finally, just to let you know, we are planning on managing wildfire to try to get to those desired conditions. It improves the resiliency of our forests. It provides excellent habitat for wildlife, and it maintains healthy forests for generations. So we evaluate every single naturally ignited lightning fire for that type of management. So, of course, every human-caused start is automatic suppression, no questions there. And with that, any questions?
All right. So are there questions for Mr. Hogan? Really?
I don't think so, thank you. Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
So do you anticipate the tankers to be down at the airport pretty much full-time, or are we going to lose some of that? We kind of depend on that for, we kind of gear up, Randy, you know this already, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. We kind of gear up for you guys to be here, and Randy probably needs to know if we need to not be quite as ready.
So with the air tankers, it's not consistent, because they are a limiting resource within the western United States. There aren't very many of them, and we're actually in a transition period where we're bringing on new jet type air tankers, the BA-146 and the MD, I forget the names of them, but they're called the next generation of air tankers, and we're phasing out the old generation. And so, this year,
currently we're carrying a lot of avgas for you, and when you go to that, we'll already have jets, so.
Right, yep. So those that, those are out of my control. I order them when I need them. When we do get initial attack and we have a need for tankers, we order those up. The one thing that has been consistent is we have been ordering the single-engine air tankers, which are like the air tractors, like the crop duster kind of airplanes. We typically get 2 of those down here pretty consistently, and we'll do that again this year. The other aviation asset that we'll get is the smoke jumpers. They come down from Missoula and Grangeville, Idaho, Redmond, Oregon, Redding, California, different places. But anyway, we'll get our group of smoke jumpers around May 15th, so they'll come down with their airplane also.
Okay. Well, I don't have any further questions, so thank you very much for what you do, and good luck on your new business.
Thank you.
All right. Further public comment? Oops. You guys...
Thank you very much. Well, this is Jenny, gang, so now we got 10 minutes. Is that okay? Well, this time my name is Raul Corrieta. I'm coming as a hiker today, but we're actually going to say a few words about the Continental Divide Coalition. They're actually going to have trail days. I just want to thank Commissioner Brown for coming up with those comments about what wonderful trails we have here in Grant County, especially the CDT. And once again, thank you for the proclamation also for April being Trails Month. And I'm just going to hand it over to Jenny. She's actually one of the hikers, and she's going to talk about the schedule, and we're going to go from there.
Thank you very much. So one of the things that makes Silver City unique as a town along the Continental Divide Trail is the support that hikers receive from the community. People here know what the CDT is, and they know what it's all about. Just in case there's anyone here who isn't quite in the know, the CDT is a 3,100-mile national scenic trail that stretches from the Mexican border to the Canadian border up in Glacier National Park. And every year, between 200 and 300 people attempt to through hike the entire length of that trail. We celebrate the start of the hiking season here in Silver City with the Trail Days Festival. This year it's going to be in about a week and a half, April 28th through April 30th. So I'll just tell you a little bit about the schedule of events. Both Friday and Saturday, the 28th and the 29th, we'll have a full day of presentations and seminars at the Seaboat Gallery. They're geared towards long-distance hikers. They are about the trail, but they're also a wonderful opportunity for local families who are thinking about getting into hiking, who have interest in what the CDT is all about, to come and learn a little bit more and hopefully get inspired to go and check out the local portions of the CDT here in Silver City. On Friday evening, we'll have the gear raffle at the Little Toad Creek. So people who have a new interest in the CDT can come and hopefully win some hiking gear to really inspire them to get out there. And then on Saturday, we will, in addition to our presentations, we will have the Base Camp Expo and Street Festival. It'll be sort of headquartered at the intersection of Bullard and College Street. We'll be closing a couple blocks there and having booths both in the parking lot of Morning Star and on the street. There'll be gear vendors, local nonprofits, land management agencies, and more. We will also have live music and food. Then we will have our keynote presentation 7:30 at the Murray Hotel Ballroom. That'll be a very interesting talk about 2 very brave souls who attempted to through hike in the dead of winter. Then on Sunday, April 30th, our very own Raul Corrieta will be leading a community hike up to the top of Gomez Peak, and we really hope to see you all there. So that's it. We are very excited. We had a couple hundred people come through Silver City for Trail Days last year, and we're expecting that number to maybe even double this year. Similar events for other long trails attract people in the thousands every year. One of the great things about this festival is it is more intimate and there is more involvement with the local community. But it is going to grow, and it is going to bring a lot of beneficial economic tourism to Grant County, New Mexico. So we're very excited to be a part of that.
Thank you so much. And I would just like to state that same day we have the Great Race, we have the Big Ditch, we got the Little Toad, we got the CDT. So just please come on in, see what's going on with the CDT with us. And I just want to thank Jenny. We've been working on this for about 3 months, and it's, by this time I'm really stressed out, hopefully, and everything we got all together, but I feel wonderful. She's amazing. And don't forget that evening also we're going to have from our theater group, from the Silver City Community Theater Group, food is going to be Last of the Red Hot Lovers, and it's going to be at the Women's Club at 7 o'clock at night, fish fry at 6. So please join us to all these events. So it's really boring here in Silver City and Grant County, so thought I'd let you know. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public input? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next item on the agenda is to approve or disapprove. Oh, Mr. Pettis, do you have public input? I didn't see your hand up.
Well, I wrote it on a piece of paper you had at the door.
That's just an attendance roll. Sorry about that.
My name is Luis Pettis, and Mr. Chairman and members of the committee and staff and general public. I read in the Silver City Daily Press about the work that's being done with the conference center, the amount of money that's being spent. And I showed some concerns because I don't think that the public has been properly notified or told about how this is going to happen. The amount of money that's being put in, what's it being used for? Are there salaries? I know that there's a lot of maintenance and things like that. What is the future of the conference center? Who are you going to hire to run it? Do you have a real professional, a person who is perhaps from a larger city where they're used to dealing with labor groups and promotional groups and trade fairs and things like that, to bring conventions to Silver City? Has a local study been made of groups in Silver City and asking these groups to bring their little meetings, district and otherwise, to our convention center, so that there's no reason why the convention center can't make money, although apparently this is not the viewpoint, that we will not make money. So who's going to pay the bill? The taxpayers. I know that we have problems here with being the best kept secret in southwest New Mexico in many respects. Even our tour of the Gila is not properly promoted by our state tourism department, according to an article I read in the Silver City Daily Press. I believe in the newspaper, Silver City Daily Press, for giving us information. That's why I'm here today. Of course, a lot of people don't think much of our local paper, and many people don't even subscribe. And so I hesitate to ask the members of the county commission. I don't want you to raise your hands and tell me how many of you subscribe to the Daily Press. So I'm not going to embarrass you by asking you that. But it just goes to show you, we need loyalty and support. I asked why we weren't doing promotions in the El Paso Times, and they told me because nobody reads the newspapers. And of course I know, being from El Paso and having been a former journalism professor and reporter and all that about 75,000 people a day pick up the El Paso and read it. I read it because I want to find out if my high school schoolmate, Sandra Day O'Connor, the Supreme Court Justice, and I went to school together. I want to find out if she died, because there are a lot of obituaries there of people who did. And I also find out the good things about athletes coming to Western New Mexico University, the ones that they're recruited to play basketball and volleyball mostly, and which gives a promotional effort to Western New Mexico. And so I would like to see a better use of lodgers tax money in promoting not only our Silver City, but the county. And of course, there would be a major effort with the conference center. You have to promote it if you want people to know what's out here. So, in view of that, I am asking that the county table the vote not to go on with the chamber and the conference center today in a vote, that you would give the taxpayers more time to find out what's going on. And that's what I'd like to know. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to answer one of your questions. Yes, I subscribe to the Silver City Daily Press. Any further public input, and then we're going to move on. Okay. Next item on the agenda, approve or disapprove March 21st, 2017 work session meeting minutes, and approve or disapprove March 23rd, 2017 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the March 21st work session minutes and the March 23rd regular meeting minutes. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Financial report, approve or disapprove the April 10th, 2017 expenditure report. Linda, would you go through that for us, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The expenditure report you have in front of you for approval is for a total sum of $2,168,427.02. And this is for the period ending April 10th, 2017. Some of the highlights in this report is a check to Bank of America in the amount of $30,165.78. And this is for a lease payment for the Fort Bear Volunteer Fire Department fire pumper. A check to Summit Food Services in the amount of $23,543.02. This is for inmate meals for January 2017. A check to Right Express Fleet Services in the amount of $21,162.94. And this is for February fuel charges. A check to Tour of the Gila in the amount of $10,000 for the tourism advertising of the Tour of the Gila. A check to Cooperative Educational Services in the amount of $43,526.01, and this is for a comprehensive land use plan. A check to Ockham Engineers in the amount of $65,072.89, and this is for the Colonias Project engineering services. A check to Ascent Aviation in the amount of $47,369.46, and this is for jet fuel. A check to Fowler Brothers Incorporated in the amount of $31,780.56, and this is for base course to the Loma Verde Road construction project. A check to New Mexico Human Services Division in the amount of $92,921.17, and this is the third quarter contribution for the safety net care pool. A check to Morrow Enterprises in the amount of $112,282.85, and this is for the North Hurley Road construction Colonias project. A check to New Mexico State University in the amount of $17,000, and this is for the January through March 2017 co-op extension contribution. A check to HME Incorporated in the amount of $238,517, and this is for a fire truck purchase for the Upper Midwest Volunteer Fire Department. A check to Lamar Advertising in the amount of $23,000, and this is for tourism advertising, billboard advertising for tourism. A check to Southwest Concrete and Paving in the amount of $10,209.99, and this is for February and March mix for routine road work at the road department. White Sands Construction in the amount of $38,051.10, and this is to begin the work at the Tucasa Construction. And a check in the amount of $37,111.53, and this is for the February tipping fees for the Southwest Solid Waste Authority. And we also have pay period 6 and pay period 7 payroll checks totaling $409,020.15. Questions? Thank
Thank you very
you.
much. Does anybody have any questions for Linda? None? Wow. Get lunch on time today. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So can I get a motion to approve the expenditure report?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the expenditure report. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, next item on the agenda is we get a legislative update from Senator Howie Morales. Welcome, Senator. How are you today? Well, great. You sounded like you had a cough. I thought you needed a doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I was actually out at the Tour of the Gila there in the Fort Bear portion of it. A lot of dust up there, so I think the allergies are getting to me. It was nice coming back and seeing the amount of traffic that's within our community and the amount of people that have come in to Grant County to be part of the celebration that we have and what we've had all week. I wanted to congratulate the Board of County Commissioners, staff, elected officials for the groundbreaking of Tucasa yesterday. I thought that was something that we've worked on for many years. You guys continue to work on it. Wanted to give special credit to Charlene, thank you for staying in communication with me on that. Misha, who's not here right now, who continually is in discussion with DFA and the challenges that you see that are there. So nonetheless, despite all that, we had the groundbreaking yesterday, and I was proud to be a part of that. As I come in and give, as I do every year, a legislative session update, I do so because I have to be accountable to each of you. I'm accountable to the individuals who send me up to Santa Fe to represent our area, and want to make sure that I can give information as accurate as possible, and more so to answer questions that each of you might have in relation to this session. I thank you for the communication, the text messages, the calls, the emails that many of you sent. That helps me in formulating decisions that have to take place and what we need to do, what's going to best benefit Grant County and best benefit our communities that I serve. That is really helpful, and I appreciate that even though we may not always agree on an issue, that I get that input and I get to see it from a different perspective, and I think that that needs to continue, and that's been one of my most proudest times being your state senator, is the opportunity to communicate with my local governments. And I think that it's been extremely helpful when we've had tough decisions that have affected our community. Knowing how it would affect each local government is extremely important to make those arguments, and so I want to thank each of you for that. As we came into this legislative session, it was an unusual session. Of the 10 years that I've been there, this was the most unusual. From day one, opening of the session, we didn't have the typical ceremonial type of approach to the first day. We did the ceremonies, we did the swearing in of the newly elected senators, but then we got right to work on the 17 budget. You can recall we went in September and had a special session. We had a budget shortfall, and we had to address that during the special session, and we did so in bipartisan fashion. And we sent a budget over that we felt we weren't completely happy with the cuts that had to be made, but we did so. And it was passed on. Unfortunately, there was about $50 million that was vetoed out of that from the special session, which left us unbalanced for the remainder of the fiscal 17 year. We had to come in and look at it, and Chairman, I appreciate your text. I know that you weren't happy about some of those decisions that were made, and I shared those sentiments and shared those concerns, because I felt that we needed to make sure that we're listening to the pulse of what people across the state are thinking. We addressed that, and again, it was in bipartisan fashion, and we balanced the budget for 17. And this is just within the first week of the legislative session. This is the time when many of you were up there during the Association of Counties conferences, and it kind of gives you an idea of what the rest of the session was going to be like. Because then the following week, we started dealing with the 18 budget, and what we're still dealing with right now. Currently, as we sit right now, we don't have a budget in the legislature. That was vetoed out completely. As we sit right now, we don't have a budget for all of higher ed. That was vetoed out completely. I think that those were political messages that were trying to be sent, but I think that those messages have gone and not in the way that the administration had hoped it would. When you veto an entire budget of the legislative portion of it, and the three branches of government being eliminated, I think that there's constitutional concerns that are there, and the legislature has moved forward to have a lawsuit to ensure that the equal branches of government are treated equally. But more concerning to me is the budget veto of higher ed and the impact that it's having on the state of New Mexico. I want to be realistic. I think we're all realistic. New Mexico is suffering. We're struggling. When states around us are thriving and benefiting, have recovered from the recession, we're still spiraling. And so the concern I have is when the vetoing of a higher ed budget, all of it, the message that it's sending is that New Mexico doesn't value education, doesn't value workforce, doesn't value people coming into our state to get an education. And this was unfortunately ran in the Washington Post this week, basically stating the fact that New Mexico doesn't have a higher education system right now. Will we fix that? Yeah, I believe we will. But it's the messaging and the perception that's put out there that's a concern. Getting back to the fiscal 18-year budget, I thought that the budget that's been presented and that was vetoed for the most part, I thought was fair. And not only coming in from the Democratic side of the Senate, but from the Republican side as well. I'm proud to be part of the member of the New Mexico State Senate because we come together in bipartisan fashion. We did it in the special session. We did it for the fiscal 17 solvency budget. We did it for the 18 budget. It wasn't easy. But the reality of it, to continually think that we can cut away and try to make government work, try to make basic services work, try to fund Medicaid the way it needs to be funded. The reality of it is we really have no other places to cut. Therefore, revenues need to come in. Nobody likes to discuss tax increases. Nobody wants to vote on a tax increase. But the reality of it is we have to have a balanced approach to budgeting. And it needs to make sure that we're not going to cut our way out of this, we're not going to tax our way out of this, but it's going to be a balanced approach. And that's what we did as a state senate. Republicans voted for it. Democrats voted for it. And we passed it on. The House had more debate, more party line, I believe. As a matter of fact, the vote was party line. And it went on to the governor, and we now have the vetoes. So that leaves us where we're at right now. And the concerns that I have coming into the special session that we should be coming into, I would say within the next week or two. It leaves me a lot of concern specifically for my local communities. In Silver City, I spoke with the town council, talked to them about the hold harmless impact. And if those are phased out, if the phase out takes place, there's a lot of money within that area, it'll devastate the budget of Town of Silver. How does that affect Grant County? Obviously, we know that we work very closely together. The county, the city, local governments, and the impact will be tremendous. The concern that I have, and I shared it a little bit, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, yesterday with Charlene and talked to her about my concern with the hold harmless piece of it. Now, what may come in, even though Grant County falls underneath the population limit, my concern is the state taking action on the imposing of the 3/8 that was done. I think that the benefit we saw yesterday in the groundbreaking was something with two costs and one that had been a reality had the commission not taken that action. The legislature gave you the authority to do that. The governor signed and gave the authority to do that. All you did was move forward with that, and I thought that you acted in a way that you felt was best for the community. Now, for the legislature or the governor to come back and to basically have some repercussions to the county on that, I am concerned, and I'll depend heavily on each of you to stay in communication with me to make sure that we know if a decision's made, how will it affect our county? If an idea is brought out, how will the impact be to your budget and to your services? These are things that are left in the unknown. I hope that we can continue to have the discussions, whether it's within our elected offices or with the commission and the budget dealing with the overall county fiscal authority. I want to make sure that we can communicate on this closely. I wish I could come and give some more positive news, but that's the reality where we're at. And if we don't have an opportunity to come together on each side of the aisle, we're going to see devastating impacts for years to come in the state of New Mexico. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions, any specific pieces of legislation that you may have questions on. I'm here to answer those questions and be of service to you. Thank you.
So, does anybody want to start with any questions? Mr. Brown? No? Mr. Williams? No? Go ahead. I guess it's me. All right. I'm going to start with the 3/8 and the hold harmless. You know, I worked on that a lot. One of the issues with withdrawing the 3/8 or the hold harmless is the bond capacity and creating an insolvency. And it's not going to just be with Grant County. It's going to be with counties and municipalities throughout the state. I would question their not ability, because I know they can do it, but I would just suggest that they would really look at that type, because if you sent a message to Standard & Poor's and to Moody's and all those people that New Mexico would withdraw the bond capacity on individual county and municipality bonds, you want to talk about it destroying the state, not just the county, the state. Those bonds are backed by revenue from those gross receipts. And you can, but I really question your wisdom on doing that. And you and I have had that conversation. We know that that's out there, and so do they. I don't know how much of a message it is, but that's statewide destruction if they do that. One of the unintended consequences and I'm sitting here looking at Dr. Brown, he knows more about this program than I'll ever know, but when the veto of the higher education bill, it vetoed the monies for WICHE, which is the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education, and there are kids that are having to drop out of veterinary school. I know of one having to drop out. The other one is going to continue to get to go because her family's well enough that they can pay the out-of-state tuition. And it was done just mere days after they could have actually asked for in-state tuition in the states they were going to. So the timing was really horrible for those kids. And I hope you keep your eye on that and hope that it gets reinstated, and whoever's in charge of higher education up there, I don't remember the secretary's name, that they go back to those universities and I'm assuming that works for medical school and dental and other things. I don't know that to be a fact, but I assume it does. And works with those individual kids to get them reinstated, because what we've just done is we've said New Mexico doesn't need new professionals in those areas. That's unconscionable. I don't know what they were thinking when they did that. I understand sending messages. I don't know if it's vindictive. That's the only thing I can come across, because when you do that, some of those things are irreparable. They can't be changed. I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate you answering my 400-word tweets and my texts at 4 o'clock in the morning when you guys are still sitting in committee. At least you know I'm sitting there watching it on TV, and I'm concerned. And thank you very much for everything you do. Do you want to comment on
if I can just respond to a couple of those things, and I've often said it and I'll say it again, a weak local government equates to a weak state. We have to understand that. If we're going to make sure that the state will prosper, we've got to ensure that we're working and supporting our local governments. And so you're right, when you're talking about the impact of the hold harmless or the 3/8 or any of these type of initiatives, my concern is the impact that it's going to have on the state for years to come. Currently, where we sit right now, New Mexico's at 1% reserves. 1% reserve. That means when we go out for our bond rating, the levels, basically we're going to be lowered on our bond rating, which means that money that we borrow in the future is going to be that much more expensive. We're digging a deeper hole, and there's really no need to do that. I appreciate you mentioning the discussion of the WICHE side of it. And on the WICHE, which WICHE is, it's a program of the western states basically coming together to provide, whether it's dentistry, whether it's the veterinarian that you had talked about, other type of healthcare type related occupations. And I spoke to one of the students I believe you were referring to, and it was heartbreaking that this student has worked so hard and got themselves in a position to continue to move forward as a veterinarian, and plans to come back and work in the state of New Mexico as part of the WICHE program to come back. And to have that funding cut and not know where the future is going to go. Will it be restored? Yeah. Will it be too late? We don't know. That's the concern that I have as we move forward. So I appreciate you mentioning that and the impact. And again, I try to be a positive person, as positive as at all times. But the reality of it, these are concerns that I have. These are huge concerns in the state that we live in, the state that I love. And I hope that we can have some resolve as we come forward together, because without that, we're seeing more people leaving the state. We'll see more jobs, more companies leaving the state. And I think sometimes we take the approach that we want to try to attract as many people to come in, and we forget about our businesses, the people that have been here for years, and providing support there. I'm hoping we can come together. I'm confident in the New Mexico State Senate we will. And if the vote comes up, whether we should go into a special session and vote on the exact budget that we sent, I will be voting yes. If the vote comes up and the question is asked, should we go into extraordinary session, I'll be voting yes. Because we're the legislative branch or an equal branch of government, and we need to make sure that we place forward what we feel is most important and beneficial to the people of New Mexico.
I see there's a member of the audience who might want to speak to this topic. I could go after because I have a different question for Howie.
Did you want to say something about Witchy real quick, or something else?
Do I need to?
Yeah, you do.
I appreciate the opportunity. This question, that Witchy was very important for me to help get me through school, and I was unaware that had happened. But my question is that if I have this figured out right, does not the New Mexico State Lottery, its main purpose was to provide funding for students, especially in undergrad studies, with certain restrictions? Is there any money available through that lottery that could be allocated for our professionals and on up the line?
I can answer that.
Put the senator on,
I can answer that.
can you? Okay.
Thank you, and I appreciate the questions, and I think that these type of questions are important, that you put other possibilities out there, and you have other options to look at. I think that the lottery scholarship, a couple things with that is it's been a huge benefit. Students across the state of New Mexico have been able to get their tuition paid for. The problem with the lottery side of it is it's intended for those that have gone in for their first, right out of high school, and I believe that these individuals, if they went in, more than likely they received the full amount of the lottery scholarship to go through and get their undergraduate degree. The other problem that I think would be there with the lottery scholarship is that we don't have any money there. That's another fund that's being hit. That's another area that's being threatened. So when we're talking about higher ed, I think that this is something that is a concern. But I appreciate the question being asked, because these are questions I can take forward and ask, what if? What are the possibilities? Can this be done? And there's a possibility that anything can be done if you have 22 votes. But we don't know unless we can pose the question. So thank you.
Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, Senator Morales. 2 days ago at our work session, we heard from Representative Dow on a number of issues. One of those was about the transfer of Yucca Lodge. She put a fairly positive spin on it. She declared herself an optimist and said she thought that in the end, this area would benefit. There'd be more beds, be more rationally used, obviously not for the same purpose. I wonder if you could give us your take on that situation.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for mentioning that, Commissioner Brown. I think that's important, and I didn't mention that in my discussion, but I want to thank the commissioners for your work on that. Commissioner Wallace, you were right on top of this. You and Commissioner Caston were there asking questions, trying to get answers, and I was disappointed on the way that was rolled out. I think that the decision was made a long time ago, and I think the way it was rolled out was done unprofessionally and for sure in a non-transparent way. The way that was rolled out and to be reported in the media that Yucca Lodge is going to be moved to centralize it, one in the north and one in the south. We know that Roswell doesn't serve southwest New Mexico. But the other part of it is to make it somewhat of a positive spin, saying that we're going to have more veteran services. I'm all for veteran services. I think that's important, father being a veteran. But to put a spin on something that is going to have impact on our community, when we look at our jails, and you guys know the cost of jails, when we look at our law enforcement issues, and we look at our hospital visits, and we look at issues that revolve around substance abuse, and to remove a program and remove something like this that's been here since the 1970s and serve our community, not just Grant County, the whole Southwest region, I can't put a positive spin on that. And I have to stand firm and say, when you take away services from the rural parts of New Mexico, you're evaporating rural New Mexico. And I will make sure when we get into special session, when we go into the interims, that I will ask those questions to the Secretary of the Department of Health. Because when we met, not one time was it brought up about the veterans issues. But what we do know is Grant County stepped forward. The residents of Grant County are paying taxes to address the issue that other communities might look the other way. Nobody wants to talk about DWIs. Nobody wants to talk about domestic violence. Nobody wants to talk about substance abuse. But you're addressing it head on. The groundbreaking that we had yesterday was a piece, a component that would help move us in a positive direction. But when you have, as Commissioner Chairman stated, one leg of the stool that has been taken away, it does hurt our opportunities to address this. So I'll continue to make sure that we hold our secretaries and our departments accountable. but I think it was wrong, and I will continue to fight and question their budget of why they moved this out of here to Roswell.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your quick reactions when we approached you on it. Thank you for all you did. It was amazing how quick you put things together, and unfortunately, we are where we're at.
We were just run over.
That's right.
That was already a done deal. We just didn't know it. Yes.
Hey, thanks, the Roundhouse. I would just like to ask a couple of questions real quick. The bills of all bills, that's the Harper bill and the John Arthur's bill. That's House Bill 412. You guys passed it on the third reading on the Senate, and also, 63-0, 64 in the House. I want to thank you for voting for that bill. We've been tracking it with the assessors because it has to do with property tax, it has to do with gross receipts. What's your opinion about that bill? Is that still going to be, or we're still going to be talking about it down the road? But that's one of the, I know it needs a lot of work, that bill. I just want to ask, what's your opinion about that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and so I want to be specific. You're talking House Bill 412?
Yeah, 412, that's the Jason Harper bill, 147 pages.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Assessor Pedetta. That bill, actually, I didn't vote for it, and I voted against it as the rest of the Senate Finance Committee did. How that bill got out of the House, I have no idea. Because that's an important component that when you talk about how we're going to generate revenue, and I've told this to other local governments, is that you're going to hear opposition to tax increases, but you're going to hear, and you're already hearing, the discussion of tax reform. Tax reform, and the way it's opposed in House Bill 412, it's basically a disguise for tax increases. Let me tell you whose taxes will be increased on that. Let's talk about equity. Nonprofits, our hospital, our providers, our programs out there, our agriculture side of that benefit from the nonprofit aspect of it. Those will all be now taxed, generating revenues under the thought or the concept of tax reform. It's generating taxes, it's generating revenue, but it's giving the executive the opportunity to say they never raise taxes. Similar to the hold harmless side of it. When the hold harmless was pulled, it was a tax increase on every one of us when we had to have those take place in local governments. It was a tax increase that the local governments were forced to do. But state government, primarily the governor, were able to say, we've never raised taxes. This is pushing it down. I think when we were at Senate Finance Committee, and I give our chairman, Mr. John Arthur Smith, a lot of credit because we had a 4-hour hearing on House Bill 412. And that hearing had every single nonprofit group sharing how they would be impacted. I went to a baseball game. Commissioner Ramos was there on Tuesday as well. You would be taxed at the gate for paying to get into that baseball game. Any high school, any kind of school activities, schools, purchases that you have because you don't pay gross receipts, those will now be taxed. Exactly. So now you will be paying more. And impact your budget? Absolutely. So when you hear the word tax reform, it's just a code word for tax increases.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Morales, thank you very much. Due to the fact that I did attend all the RIF staff meetings since August, and they actually talked about property tax, and I'm pretty much on top of that, increasing the cap to 10%. And yes, it needs a lot of work. That bill needs a lot of work. And I would just like to apologize that Thursday I won't be able to be there for your town meeting because I'm headed to Santa Fe, this afternoon. So I thought I'd bring it up today, and thank you very much for breaking it down like that. Thank you.
Thank you. And just so you know, as far as House Bill 202, this was one that I did vote for. And it was a tough vote. This is the one basically that had all the revenue that Republicans and Democrats both voted for. When you have a conservative state senator and a fiscal individual like Senator John Arthur Smith carry the gas tax, and that gets support bipartisan, there's something to say that those revenues are desperately needed. Our roads need it. The jobs that it provides, and then to provide funding that would get us to at least 3% reserves, and that was vetoed out. When you look at other opportunities that were in House Bill 202 that makes up the budget bill, these are the type of things that I hope the government will reconsider, and we can come together in a bipartisan fashion, Democrats, Republicans, House and Senate, to do what New Mexico is expecting us to do.
No. Well, just just for me, not for the commission, I do support some type of reset on the gross receipts. It's being a business person, not trying to figure out which municipality you charge the tax in and which one you don't, and when you deliver something, when you don't deliver something, if you mail something, it's very, very, very difficult to understand. And it probably was simple when it was put in, but then there's been amendments every year since then. So I do agree that a reset on the combined reporting system be done. So that's just me. Anything else?
Just a simple thank you again for everything you do for us and receiving us with open arms every time we're up there. You know, it seems like every time we're up there, something happens and we call you or text you and you meet with us right away and we react. And thank you again for that special attention you give us when we get up there.
Thank you.
We love getting run out of your hallway. Oh, here comes those guys again. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate each of you. Thank you.
You bet. Okay, next item on the agenda. Approve or disapprove proclamation declaring May 31st through June 3rd, 2017 as the first New Mexico Bank Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo Week. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the proclamation declaring May 31st through June 3rd, 2017 as First New Mexico Bank Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo Week. I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Under discussion, Bernadette, can you read that proclamation for us?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Whereas the Southwest Horsemen's Association and Pete Carr's Classic Pro Rodeo will be presenting the first New Mexico Bank Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo in Grant County, New Mexico. And whereas the Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo is celebrating its 27th year in Grant County in 2017. And whereas cattle ranching was created by the earliest settlers of the North American continent. And whereas ranching has been a major contributor to the history, customs, culture, and romance of Grant County. And whereas the sport of rodeo perpetuates and keeps these qualities alive, and whereas the Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo is one of the Grant County's major tourist attractions, and spectators, tourists, and rodeo cowboys and cowgirls from throughout the West will converge in Grant County for its annual event. Now therefore, the governing body of the County of Grant does hereby proclaim the week of May 31st through June 3rd, 2017 as the first New Mexico Bank Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo Week.
Discussion on the motion. Dr. Brown, do you?
I just think it's humorous that we're following the school districts and declaring 4 days to be a week. Other than that, it's no problem.
Only part of the school district.
So far.
Dr. Brown, do you have anything to say before we vote on this? I didn't know if you or Kim Clark were, but I figured you're realtors, so.
My name is Kevin Brown. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission for approving that proclamation. Just a few brief comments here that I would like to make. This year, as we celebrate our 27th year here in Grant County, we'd like to encourage everyone to come and participate as the Southwest Horsemen's Association brings to Silver City, Grant County, and the surrounding areas the first New Mexico Bank Wild Wild West Pro Rodeo, which will be May 31st through June 3rd. Since its earliest days in our area, ranching has been a major contributor to the history, customs, romance, and I might interject, tax base of Grant County. Rodeo has its foundation in these roots of ranching and perpetuates and keeps all of these qualities as much as we can in today's world alive. Of course, we wouldn't be able to bring this activity to Grant County without the generous support of our many sponsors, with First New Mexico Bank being our title sponsor. Also, all the volunteers that donate their time and energies to help produce such a culturally significant civic event. Therefore, I would like to, on behalf of the Southwest Horsemen's Association and First New Mexico Bank, encourage everyone near and far to come out and support and enjoy our rodeo this year. Thank you.
If you'll just stay right there, we're going to vote on this, and then we'll take a picture, Kevin. So on the Grant County proclamation declaring First New Mexico Bank Wild West Pro Rodeo, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Come on here. I think he looks better than he graduated high school together. He's looking pretty young there for Since politics is about to wear me out. Have brown and brown in it. That's what we want to Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate Okay. Next item on the agenda is to approve or disapprove a proclamation declaring the month of April 2017 as Fair Housing Month. Can I get a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. You guys are honest today. I want you to know I appreciate it. These guys are slackers.
I'm just giving them a chance.
We have a motion and a second, and under discussion, if I can get Bernadette to read that proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, member of the board. Whereas fair and equal housing is a right guaranteed to all Americans, and whereas the principle of fair and equal housing is not only a national law and policy, but a fundamental human entitlement, and whereas all citizens have the right to live where they choose within their financial means, and whereas people must not be denied housing because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, handicap, or family status. And whereas the Grant County Board of Commissioners acknowledges the importance of assuring fair and equal treatment to all citizens. And whereas the Grant County Board of Commissioners and the Silver City Regional Association of Realtors will supply fair housing information to the public, and the county will display a fair housing proclamation at the Grant County Administrative Building. And whereas the Grant County Board of Commissioners and the Regional Association of Realtors is committed to highlighting the fair housing law, title of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, by continuing to address discrimination in our community, to support programs that will educate the public about the right to equal housing opportunities, and to plan partnership efforts with other organizations to help assure Americans their right to fair housing. And whereas the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics commits all realtors to providing equal professional services without discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, family status, handicap, sexual orientation, gender identity, and national origin. Now therefore, the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the month of April 2017 as Fair Housing Month, and urge all citizens to participate in appropriate activities to commemorate this event.
Thank you, Bernadette. So Kim or Debbie or somebody have something to say? Or you do? Come on up. I know we got a past president, a state past president that ought to come up and say hi at least.
Thank you, Commissioner, Chair. I just want to thank the county as well as our local municipalities and Western Bank and First New Mexico Bank. We initiated a fair housing poster contest earlier in the month for local Grant County students, grades 3 and 4 grades 5 and 6, and grades 7 and 8. And what we did is we asked them, the students in these grades, to create a fair housing poster using the HUD theme this year, which is Fair Housing Equals Opportunity. We sent this poster out to all the schools and grades, principals in those grades. The deadline for the poster is next week on the 25th, and we have a first prize for the 3 group categories of $50, a second prize of $25, and a third prize is an honorable mention. So again, I want to thank the county as well as the municipalities for partnering with us on this. Fair housing is very important, and showing and teaching the kids that we need to treat everybody equitably. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. You know the drill, Kim. Who's representing the next one? All right. Next item on the agenda is to approve or disapprove a proclamation declaring May 6th as the 4th ever Give Granley Day, Give Local Day. Can I get a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve proclamation declaring May 6, 2017 as the 4th ever Give Granley, Give Local Day. I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. I got on them and all of a sudden they're stepping up. All right.
Go ahead if you want.
Are you keeping tally? All right. There's a motion and a second proclaiming May 6th as the 4th ever Give Granley, Give Local Day. Under discussion, Bernadette, can you read that for us?
Mr. Chairman, member of the board, whereas the County of Grant is blessed by nonprofit organizations which provide invaluable services to our community, and whereas Give Granley, Give Local Day, May 6, 2017, is the 4th community-wide giving event hosted by the Grant County Community Foundation online at www.grantcountycommunityfoundation.org and www.givegranley.org. And whereas there are 53 registered participants, and whereas Give Granley, Give Local Day shall grow the spirit of giving and raise as much money as possible for the nonprofits in the Grant County area. And whereas throughout the Grant County Community Foundation and its partner, the Southwest New Mexico Nonprofit Coalition, Give Granley, Give Local Day shall inspire the public to support our nonprofit organizations on this one day, May 6, 2017. Now therefore, the governing body of the County of Grant does hereby proclaim May 6, 2017 as the 4th ever Give Granley, Give Local Day, and be it further proclaimed that for all citizens, it is the official day of providing financial support for all of the causes that continue to move our county forward.
Thank you, Bernadette. And under discussion, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Angelica, and on behalf of the Grant County Community Foundation Board, the Southwest New Mexico Nonprofit Coalition, and the 53 nonprofits participating in Give Grandly, Give Local 2017. We thank you for supporting this endeavor for the 4th year in a row. Our nonprofits provide much-needed services that enhance the quality of life in Southwest New Mexico. And each year we make history. In 2016, we raised the most money ever raised in Grant County in 24 hours, $107,000. Since the beginning of 2014, we have raised over $2,500,000 for local nonprofits. This year, we intend to make history again. Please join us at the Silver City Farmers Market from 8:30 to 2 on Saturday, May 6th for food, music, and information, and unlimited community spirit. Thank you.
Thank you. Further input? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes.
It's more like 250 total, right?
Thank you.
$5 million. You gotta put your finger up when you say it like that. Okay, next item on the agenda is approve or disapprove a proclamation declaring May 7th through 13th as National Correctional Officers Employees Week.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second to approve the May 7th through 13th being declared National Correctional Officers Employee Week. Bernadette, can you read that for us?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Whereas National Correctional Officers and Employees Week, held during the first full week in May, is an annual nationwide commemoration of correctional officers and personnel who work in jails, prisons, and community corrections throughout the country. And whereas President Ronald Reagan issued Proclamation 5187 in 1984 recognizing National Correctional Officers Week for the first time that year, noting the ever-expanding multidisciplinary responsibilities of correctional officers. And whereas in 1996, Congress changed the name of National Correctional Officers and Employees Week, the week's current name, in order to recognize the crucial work done by the civilian corrections employees and volunteers. And whereas correctional officers, employees, and volunteers in Grant County serve the county's mission of safe and secure communities every day by supervising offenders and providing services for the return as law-abiding citizens. And whereas officers at the Grant County Detention Center are not guards, they are a diverse, dedicated, and professional staff, called upon to simultaneously fill custodial, supervisory, and counseling roles. And whereas across Grant County and across the country, corrections workers in all fields risk their lives daily to ensure the protections that many take for granted. Now, therefore, the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 7th through the 13th, 2017 as National Correctional Officers and Employees Week.
Are you going to represent the correctional officers today? All right.
My name is Manuel Maldonado.
an employee with the Grant County Sheriff's Office. I'm also the union president, so unfortunately I couldn't get anybody from corrections here, but I'm here to accept this proclamation. On behalf of them, thank you guys. I don't think they're recognized as much. People don't see them as much because, they're stuck in a building all the time, so thank
Yes,
you.
they are. Yes, they are. Thanks, man. So are you happen to be representing the National Police Week too?
Yes.
Okay. Can we do that and we'll just do all the pictures at once since it's just with you? All right. So I'll take, I got a motion, so all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Approve or disapprove proclamation declaring May 14th to the 20th as National Police Week.
Second.
Motion and a second. Bernadette, can you read that proclamation? Thanks,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Whereas the administration of criminal justice is a major concern to the everyday lives of the citizens of Grant County, and whereas the most visible front line of criminal justice system, our law enforcement officers, from the newest recruit to the oldest veteran, carry within the awesome responsibility of making often instantaneous and irrevocable decisions affecting human life and safety, property rights, and personal liberty. And whereas Grant County is blessed with professional law enforcement officers, all highly qualified men and women who, by temperament and training, are fully prepared to meet the challenges of changing social conditions. And whereas it is proper and fitting that we give special recognition to and remember those law enforcement officers who have given their lives in the line of duty from Grant County, the state of New Mexico, and this nation, as well as those who continue to courageously and conscientiously maintain a delicate balance between the liberty of the individual and a high degree of social protection. And whereas by proclamation of the President of the United States, May 15th is designated as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 15th as National Police Week. Now therefore, the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 15, 2017 as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 14th through the 20th, 2017 as National Police Week, and encourage all citizens to make a special effort to let those officers from the various law enforcement agencies who night and day make this county a safe place to live, work, and play know that they are appreciated.
Thank you, Bernadette.
Thank you.
Benny?
I just want to say, I represented New Mexico, and of course, the union up in Washington, D.C. during Police Week. They have Police Week and the National Corrections Week right after each other. So they have the memorial on Monday for Police Week, the 15th. So I've been out there. I wish every law enforcement would be able to, or law enforcement officer would be able to go out there to Washington, D.C. There are law enforcement officers from all over the world. I've met people from Australia, Europe, and of course the United States. But there's a lot of representation, worldwide. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Just thank you for all y'all do, because that's probably one of the toughest jobs in this day and age to ever have. And although compensation has always been an issue, people still, you all still go out and do the best you can and work hard for us, and we really do appreciate you all. Again, this day and age, things are really rough, and we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Further? Seeing none?
Second, what Mr. Ramos just said, we very appreciate it, and we have a lot of discussion about compensation, and we appreciate what you do. Everything from, my involvement's been everything from bereavement training and the professionalism that you show when you come to receive the body of someone people whose loved one has died to, well, I'd have to go on too long to say thank you.
And don't tell them everything you know, Billy. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Yeah.
Stand in front of a bunch of kids and call that. I have to get back to It's like both of them. All right.
They do that. Okay, the next item, does anybody have a problem if we move that to the end of the agenda?
Not at all. Let's do that.
All right, approve or disapprove the transfer of 5 mountain bikes from the sheriff's office to the Silver High School mountain bike team. Can I get a motion? We got 2 of each. That's perfect. That's plenty. So just one more time, make sure that the sheriff has no heartburn with this. Okay.
Well, the assessor's office really wanted those bikes so they can start using those for assessments. You know that, right?
They would assess a lot less properties on those. Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Approve or disapprove appointment of the Labor Standards Officer for the CDBG contract. We went through this on Tuesday. It's going to be Jacob, no cost to us. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second. Really quiet. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Approve or disapprove the fiscal year 2018 Fire Protection Fund applications for the following volunteer fire departments. This is a consent agenda item, so you can vote on all of them at the same time. This would be for the admin for fire, which is Randy's office, Fort Baird, Pinos Altos, upper members, Santa Rita, Hanover, Fierro, Whiskey Creek, Tyrone, lower members, Cliff Gila, and Sapio Creek.
I move that we approve.
You don't have to read it all, just the...
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 2018 fire protection funds for the fire departments previously mentioned. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Approve or disapprove revised agreement number A1707, lease agreement with the Hidalgo Medical Services for use and operation of the Gila Center. Abby went over this with us on Tuesday.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the revised agreement number A-17-07. I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve A1707. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Approve or disapprove a revised agreement, A1708, lease agreement with the Hidalgo Medical Services for use and operation of the members senior center. Abby went over that, same changes as for the Gila Center on Tuesday.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve A1708. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Approve or disapprove agreement number A1710, 2016 State Homeland Security Grant Operation Stone Garden.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve A1710, 2016 Homeland Security Grant for Operation Stone Garden. This helps the sheriff out. Any discussion? Seeing none, oh, you do. I was already...
Actually, some questions, and that's actually why I was hoping Manny could stick around, but he can't.
You got the sheriff.
Excellent. Maybe, yeah, good. So one of them is that about 12 times in this grant agreement is mention of the fact that we can't supplant any local or state funding for these activities. So I'm curious what you do to ensure that we're not supplanting local and state funding.
Well, pretty much just keeping track of what expenditures we do with it, and all we're really authorized to do is use it for overtime to reimburse us on our fuel, or actually they pay for the fuel, and we do get to purchase equipment that's specifically for use on the border, the areas that we cover. In the past, we were able to purchase several units to utilize down on this operation, but they have become so stringent on that because of certain agencies. I'm not going to say who or what we're purchasing for public use, which I believe we did at the beginning before all this came to light. And so we have a lot of the units that we purchased that are strictly for stone garden use that we have used locally, and that's why they're moving into that they want to ensure that we're not doing that.
I'm familiar with the difficulty of separating those things because the school receives federal funding as well, and keeping track of what you're doing with what is difficult, but it sounds like you're on top of that.
Yes, we are.
What it means then, as a result, is the activities that are funded with this money are activities that we would not otherwise do. Am I correct?
That's correct.
About that? So if we actually didn't receive this, we would still provide the same sheriff's services to our residents as we do, we just wouldn't be doing overtime patrolling the border.
That's correct. The main function of this is a second line of defense for the Border Patrol. We're there to assist them with whatever they need. Without this funding, we would not be able to do this task. And I believe it's an important task because we do support them in trying to curtail the drug smuggling and the human smuggling. We do get by Border Patrol that we intercept and we deal with. So it is an important piece that I believe we have to continue doing this, and that's what it's all about, public safety.
And the sheriffs receive training in identifying potential human smugglers and drug traffickers?
That's correct. That's part of the requirements, that they have to go through certain training to be able to do this, and it's all about, we don't deal with immigration status. We cannot ask what their immigration status is. So if we encounter anybody, we have to refer them to to the Border Patrol. We can only do a call to them, and we can't ask what their citizenship is or anything like that. So,
but we do ask for ID.
Yes, we do.
And if they seem to have proper ID, do we still call Border Patrol?
No. It's all based on the investigation. If they're legally with papers and IDs and that, we deal with the incident. If not, then we have to refer it.
And how often does that happen, that latter case where we're not the ones dealing with it, we have to refer it?
Well, it happens quite a bit because we do encounter it. We sometimes, with this operation, we set up roadblocks, considered roadblocks, and you get vehicles that come through that have a lot of people in them, and we know what's going on, so we have to refer it out.
Can you put a number on it?
I can't actually give you an exact number. No.
It would be
percentage-wise.
One hand, two hands, a year?
I'd say probably up to 10 cases a year.
Okay.
That we encounter this.
And you haven't found yourselves dealing with just strictly the question of immigration issues. You would say all of those that you're citing have been cases of potential drug smuggling or human smuggling, not just an individual coming across without documentation.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answers.
Further discussion?
So I do have one additional question. So the officers that are participating in Stone Garden, this is over and above their regular duty as a deputy, Grant County deputy, which is why it all goes to overtime?
That is correct.
The way I understand it?
That is correct. This all has to be done on after hours, so the way we have it set up, because of the distance that they have to travel down to Hatita, is the area that we cover. That's part of Grant County
We have it set up between 6 to 10-hour shifts, and so I strongly recommend, and we've been utilizing where they're doing it on their days off to prevent safety and them being overworked and stuck during the work week. So for that reason, it's all overtime funding. We don't do anything while on the clock for the county.
And what percentage of the $232,000 is going towards overtime?
We're looking at 50% of it. We can't expend over 50% of the budget.
On overtime, on salary?
Yes. So that's why we are authorized, and it has to be justified, and they have to approve the purchase of certain equipment that we utilize in the border, and then the fuel and certain things that we get to get reimbursed for.
And is any of this equipment that you're purchasing surveillance equipment?
Yes, it is.
And if it's purchased with Stone Garden money, are you using it in any other aspect of the work that you do in the county?
We have authorization to use some of it on certain operations because we do have a lot, how can I say it? A lot of traffic comes through our highways, so we are justified to use some of the equipment for details that we do within the county. And so that's why we do get certain, it all has to be reported on a report that we submit. We have to submit a quarterly report with what our scope of work is going to be, what areas we're going to work, and what equipment we're going to utilize. And that gets approved by Homeland Security, the federal government, and we have to get that approval before we start working any of these operations. So we do get authorization to use some of it. But we just can't supplant and specifically buy it and just use it for county purposes. It has to be entailed with the detail.
Are these, are your quarterly proposals on how you're going to use this money, they're public documents, correct?
Yes, they are.
And so if I understand correctly, so the supplanting means that you cannot use equipment purchased for Stone Garden to do other things in the county? Unless you receive prior approval, is that what you said?
That's correct.
And who does that prior approval come from?
From the Department of Homeland Security, the federal government. They are the ones that approve our work, our reports and stuff.
So I'm just going to give you a scenario here, and you tell me if this is, so if you purchase surveillance equipment with Stone Garden dollars, and you propose to the Department of Homeland Security that you use it to surveil the tour of the Gila. I don't know why you do that, but that's the example I can think of at the moment. Then with Department of Homeland Security approval, you could use that equipment to do that.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further public or further discussion? Seeing none. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve A1710. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. 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 All ayes, okay. You guys kind of signal me if we're not going to be ayes, and we can vote differently. Okay.
I want to say no, is that what you...
Well, I mean, I don't want anybody thinking that I'm just saying it passes when there might be a 3-2 or something. Approve or disapprove agreement number A1711, a professional services agreement with the Silver City Grant County Chamber of Commerce for management of the Grant County Veterans Memorial and Conference Center. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the agreement number A-17-12.
Okay. So motion and a second to approve A1711. Discussion. Am I off one?
No.
Oh, I was off one, I'm sorry.
I have been off. I've been late for.
First, I'd like to make crystal clear that my concerns with this contract do not lie with the selection of the Chamber of Commerce as the conference center manager. I understand our county manager put a lot of effort into encouraging large organizations with more expertise and experience from outside of this area, the ones that perhaps Mr. Perez was referring to submit bids on this RFP to no avail. And I appreciate the work you did for that. On the upside, I'm also delighted that this means this bit of county money can stay in county. And I think the Chamber's mission is perfectly aligned with our interest in bringing events to this area and making sure their experience here is an excellent one. My concerns with this contract are twofold. First, it seems to me that there are a lot of holes in the contract from a legal perspective. For instance, we pay for all marketing expenses according to the contract, as long as the county manager approves them in advance. But it is not clear whether those expenses include the Chamber's staff time spent on marketing or only third-party costs. The Chamber is charged with coordinating security, but it's not spelled out here in the contract that the renters have to pay for that security, not the county. There's no requirement in the contract that the Chamber use a rental contract when it books events, or that the county have control over the language of that contract. There's no provision for holding county events at the convention center, and whether we would have to pay to use our own facility, meaning that 40% of our payments could end up going to the Chamber. There are no performance requirements in the contract. What kind of deliverables will we receive from the Chamber? There are financial reports, but there are deliverables about the kinds of events, the marketing plan, for example, will there even be one? And who will have the final say over whether an event is appropriate for our convention center, the Chamber or the county? It's not spelled out in the contract. I believe the county manager has discussed many or maybe all of these issues with the Chamber, and she has answers to many of my questions. She's reached an understanding on many of those questions, if not all of them. But I'm not comfortable with those understandings being sort of side agreements. Why not incorporate them into an enforceable contract? The second group of concerns I have with this contract are the bigger picture terms. I'm okay with guaranteeing $80,000 per year to the Chamber because I understand the risks and the upfront costs of taking on this job. But I'm not okay with the 40% split of gross revenues over that level, as I mentioned on Tuesday. It's way too much. And it creates the likelihood that the county will be losing tens of thousands of dollars a year, while the Chamber earns tens of thousands above and beyond their costs, at least in the second and third and maybe fourth years of the contract. I have no problem with building in a reasonable profit for a contractor, but this seems to me to go beyond reasonable. It's not a fair deal. I don't believe this is the best deal the county can get. And I think our haste to get something in place as soon as we can endangers 4 years of finances in exchange for starting a month or two sooner. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have some, actually, yes, and maybe you've answered some of the same questions that I had. Who does pay for security?
It was in the lease agreement that we approved. It's the user pays for security.
It says the Chamber shall coordinate security for events when necessary.
Which simply means that they coordinate. They will, what discussion is had and where we were going with the Parks and Rec Board was that we work with off-duty law enforcement officers, with the Law Enforcement Academy at WNMU, that we have a list of agencies that, or individuals that can actually serve as security, not using Uncle Bob to come in and provide security for your graduation party, which has happened in the past, and we've encountered issues with that. So it simply means coordinate, that they will assist the user with providing accurate and adequate security before the lease agreement is signed.
Somewhere in this lease agreement, I must have missed it, it says that the user will pay for the security.
It's in the lease agreement.
The lease agreement is different than the contract with the
This is the
Chamber.
contract with the Chamber.
I'm sorry.
But it's not incorporated into the contract, which is one of my problems.
Okay, I wasted your time.
But it is in an agreement
Okay.
to protect the county. I'm sure our attorney has done a great job looking through it, seeing if there's any holes in it.
Is security required for every event?
No, not for every event.
Who determines if the event needs security?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, but I think we need to move forward with this. Chairman Caston pointed out that we gave the county manager the authority to negotiate it in good faith. I think we've had 3 attempts to do this. My goal with the convention center at this point is to minimize losses and maximize people coming to Grant County and spending their money. So hopefully, and I talked to Mr. Terry this morning, and he alleviated some of my concerns that we're all on the same page, we're working together. There's also a clause in this agreement, the 180-day clause. If I see that the chamber is making tens of thousands of dollars, I think we can revisit this, and if we can't come to some sort of reasonable agreement, we can say, hey, the chamber's making too much money here. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to, and I hope that we will have access to what they are making. Everything will be transparent, and we'll be able to look at this. So I'll go ahead and support it.
I do have some comments as well. So we had a huge discussion about this on Tuesday, and I had previously discussed this with Charlene, because I also have many of the same concerns that Commissioner Billings and Commissioner Brown had. And I think my conversation yesterday with Charlene alleviated a number of those concerns, although not quite all of them. I would like the contract to be a little bit more spelled out than it is. But I also intend to rely on the fact that the county can get out of the contract if things aren't working. I also do not have a problem with the chamber being the designee for this, and in fact, I think this could be, and I'm very hopeful that this will be a win-win situation for both the county and the chamber. I think it has the potential of being a great partnership, and I'm going to count on that. And I've also had a number of conversations with people about what their expectations are around the convention center, and I think there are a lot of people who are skeptical. But I also, I'm hopeful. I think that there's some potential there, and I would really like to see this be an amazing opportunity for the county to drive the economy, and so I'm also going to support this contract.
I can appreciate this, the skepticism. I really can, because we, as a county commission, I've been here 6 years and so many months, but we inherited that building.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And we are here to do the best we can for the community, being that we inherited that building. And as a county commissioner, I depend heavily on our attorney to look at all legal issues before they bring it here to us. And I expect her to do her job, as well as I expect the manager to do her job in the most professional level that she can. And I'd like to say that I'm proud that we hired Charlene, and we have charged her to do a good job and to represent us on these type of issues. So I thank you very much, and I will continue to support you and help you do your job.
Just one more thing, I have to say that I acknowledge that Manager Webb inherited this building also. And so,
there's nobody here that didn't inherit that building. Yeah, when we got here, the county had already spent nearly $4 million on a building that was completely and totally unusable. We could either fix it, or we could throw it away. That was our options. We chose to do what we did.
One more thing that might warrant further discussion is, could you, I know some of the details, but the public might want to know about the ACE rental and what that pays for. In my mind, that was a very savvy business decision to have them come in there.
Yeah, I can't speak to the exact numbers, but I know that their rent does pay for a number of the items over there, so it's not really a general fund issue. So,
I would just also additionally say that I think in response to some of Mr. Perez's comments, that I think a lot of his concerns have already been addressed. And I appreciate his comments. I appreciate that we got feedback from the public in this environment. But I would follow up with, I really do appreciate the amount of work that Charlene has done on this project, and I look forward to moving forward.
okay, further comments? Further discussion? Mr. Terry, you're in the back of the room. Do you have anything to say today?
We very much appreciate the fact that it's 180-day clause also.
I'm sure you probably for about the same reason as we do.
And I know the conversation that Billy and I had earlier today, I can tell you that when we were doing numbers, our board, we were looking at well over the $80,000. We've tried to project something that where we're not making. In fact, I'll tell you right now, none of this is going toward my salary. It can't, because there's no money there for this. If you guys had gone ahead and hired 2 employees to work for the county, paying them what we're going to pay, which is a salary position of $25 and a part-time position of $9 an hour and only 20 hours a week, and you'd give them the benefits that come with being a county employee, and oh, by the way, you probably would not have been able to have done what you have to do with only 40 hours for that salaried employee. You would have spent well over $100,000 just with the county having them as your employees. We really crunched the numbers and made this because we didn't want people to think that we were trying to be greedy and that the Chamber of Commerce was trying to make a lot of money off of this, because I can assure you we aren't. This first year, I really see my hard expenses at being right at between $65,000 and $70,000, and that's just with what I anticipate. I also anticipate there will be some expenses that I didn't think of. So we really don't have a whole lot of margin there. I told Billy, and I don't mind telling you folks, this hasn't got anything to do with my pay. This absolutely has to do with the fact that I've been running the chamber for 3.5 years. The only reason why we're hiring more people is because I already work 60 hours a week. I need some help. And so for me, personally, it's about getting some help for some of the hours we put in. I think that having somebody at that convention center Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., being able to show people that want to look in there and take a look and being able to talk to them about what the charges are, what the fees are, the law enforcement for certain events, whatever. Having somebody there to do that is very important. Also, having somebody to answer the phone and immediately being able to talk about, this is what we can do for you if you bring your event here is important. We've already started creating a database of agencies across the state of New Mexico that have annual events that we can go out, and first thing we're going to do is direct mail marketing to them. By the way, I'm not going to be putting that bill toward the county. We'll take care of that. I've got a bulk postage rate. We'll use it. When we talked about, or when you guys talked about, I think here you mentioned about taking care of the expense for some of the employees. Yes, one of the things that we have talked about is if I have to, let's say I've got to travel to Farmington, New Mexico to make a bid to try to get the New Mexico Parks Association to come here in 2 years, then yes, we would ask that the county reimburse us for that expense to travel up there, and that would be it. We're not looking to have you guys pay for everything that the chamber does, just those things that pertain to marketing the conference center. We'll have our own phones. We'll pay for the chamber telephones, the fax machine line, the 800 line that we already have, the credit card stuff that we do. You aren't reimbursing us for any of that. This is strictly about managing what I think can be a great facility for Grant County. I think it's really important that we go out and market it. Frankly, this is a darn hard place to get to from anywhere in New Mexico. So we've got to go out and make it look like it's the best. We got to talk about the fact that we're going to have great conferences, and we're going to help organizations have a great time when they come to Silver City. And I had somebody say, well, they could fly in. Yeah, but you can only fly 8 at a time. So if we want 200 people, man, we got a problem. I appreciate the fact that you have a lot of concerns, and please feel free to call me. Billy called this morning as I was getting out of the shower. Thanks, Billy. Feel free to call and we'll talk about things. I don't have a problem. We're going to be very open with what we're going to do. Even some of my board, you think you have questions? You should hear the questions my board gives me. We're looking at a lot of different things, and I'll share some information with you really quickly. We're going to, our liability insurance is going to run about $8,000. The software and the monthly fees for that software setup is going to be about $7,000. It's $550 a month after that. I have to sign a 2-year contract for the user contract for that software. So that's getting up there. As I already mentioned, we're going to have $25,000 in a full-time employee. Unfortunately, there's not enough money there for us to have any benefits. There won't be any health benefits. The only thing we'll do is after 90 days, we will they'll start accruing time for vacation even during the first year, because I can't give them anything else. There's no retirement or anything. The part-time job is only 20 hours a week at $9 an hour. That's primarily janitorial. Mr. Caston, as you said in your work session the other day, it takes an awful lot of effort to finish an event at 9 o'clock at night and have everything ready to go again by 7:30 the next morning. It will take a lot of hours. I truly hope that we can do it with the budget that you're paying us. And if not, shame on me for doing a bad job of coming up with the numbers. We're going to make it work, and we're going to do our best to attract people to come here, attract people to have a great time in Grant County, and attract people to leave their money here when they come.
What's the appetite for rentals right now for it? Have you been getting calls since it's been in the paper?
We're getting calls already, and then I know the county offices has a list of people that want information. Of course, we've pretty much been just stalling, saying, there's no contract, we can't negotiate anything, I can't guarantee you a date or anything until there's a contract to be done. So, one of the things that'll happen right away is we'll start calling folks and letting them, hey, I'm a member of the Gym and Mineral Society. Last Thursday when I was at that meeting, believe me, they're like, we want to sign a contract to have the show there. We can't do it yet. But we're going to move forward and start getting dates and everything. I'll be honest, my software won't be ready for 45 days. We'll do it the old-fashioned way with Excel and by hand and stuff. So yeah, but anyway, we look forward to this opportunity if you give it to us. If you don't, hey, call up the second place bidder.
Absolutely.
I just want to kind of revisit what I stated on Tuesday about making a profit out there. We have a county fair building, sits there. We provide a good service for the people out there, but we don't make money on that building. The town of Hurley has a community center. They provide a great service for people out in the town of Hurley. They don't make any money on that building. The city of Bayard, same thing. They don't make any money on their community center. We're providing a great service, and I'm hoping that we more than make up with it on monies and revenues brought in from the people that come in and visit these facilities. That is where we're going to make our money. And I appreciate that you have worked hard on this contract as well. So hopefully we can come together and continue to work together to do what's better for our area. And I thank you.
By the way, Mr. Brown, I do want to say one thing. You were talking about when we get to where we're getting $80,000 a year and we go to a 60-40 split. Hey, I agree with you. We ought to renegotiate. I will do 50-50. And just so you know, the purpose behind that is, if we're that busy, I got to be honest with you, I'm going to have to hire some more folks. It's a business for me. It's not a. I think one of the first meetings we had with Charlene, I literally asked her the question, "How much are you willing to lose?" And I know that sounds bad, but quite frankly, this is a facility that is going to be very hard to get it to where it's a profitable facility. Back before you had the remodel, we gave it away. We already know there's local people that hate the idea of the rates we're going to have. But quite honestly, those rates are very good when you base it on what other facilities around the state have. But locally, there's people that go look for other places just because they can't get it for $50 anymore. So the first couple of, I really anticipate that the first couple of years are going to be tough, even with the local crowd. Getting them to understand that this is really a nice facility, and if you've not been in there, you need to go. It really looks good. They're like with any facility, there's some limitations, but we're going to work around that. We're going to have a great place for people to enjoy. Again, if you have questions and if you decide to go ahead and allow us to have the contract, please feel free to come up. We're going to move our office in, maybe even Saturday. It depends on how quick I can get a key. But you're more than welcome to come by and help me move. But we really appreciate this opportunity. This is something that we've kind of been planning on, frankly, since the time I got here. This is something we discussed even back in 2013, the possibilities of. So we look forward to doing a good job, not only for the chamber, not only for the county, but for this whole area.
Thank you, Mr. Terry.
Thank you.
Okay, further commission discussion. Seeing none, I'll ask Marissa to please do a roll call vote on this one. Please start here and go around.
Yes.
Chairman Caston?
Yes.
Commissioner Long?
Yes.
Commissioner Billings?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
No. Motion passes. Approve or disapprove agreement number A-1712 with the State of New Mexico Children, Youth, and Families Department to receive and administer federal funds and provide services.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve A-1712 with the State of New Mexico Children, Youth, and Families. Any discussion on that motion?
I've got like 30 questions about it. I'm just kidding.
Alicia's going to kill you. You're going to be no more Commissioner Brown. You'll see why in a second. Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Commissioner Edwards, do you have something to say?
Thank you, Chairman Caston. We're going to take a break.
So move for a recess.
Yes, I move for a recess, please.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. We're going to take about 5 minutes. Call back to order the Grant County Commission. We'll move into resolutions. Approve or disapprove a revised resolution R-1710, a resolution supporting the Village of Santa Clara as the lead agency of regional partnership to develop the historic preservation and economic development projects within the Fort Baird National Historic Site.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the revised resolution number R-17-10.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve R-1710. Is there discussion?
I want to thank Mr. Ramos for his leadership on this. That's basically all I have to say. I think I've said everything else.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
I'm not giving you any, I'm not saying anything.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and proper second to approve R-1710. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. I'll be interested in seeing the MOU. I think that's where the rubber meets the road on that. Approve or disapprove Resolution R-1715, a resolution amending the approved and adopted budget for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2016, and for county purpose in the County of Grant, Silver City, New Mexico, transferring and appropriating funds thereof. We went through this on Tuesday. If anybody has any questions, I'm sure they'll be happy to answer them.
Approve resolution R-17-15.
The motion is second to approve R-1715. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approve or disapprove a revised resolution R-1716, a resolution to enter into a cooperative agreement between the County of Grant and the New Mexico Department of Transportation for improvement of roads within the county.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion we approve the revised resolution R-1716.
I'll second.
There's a proper motion to approve R-1716. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Item U, approve or disapprove of Resolution R-1717, a resolution supporting the construction and operation of SunZia Southwest Transmission Project for local renewable energy projects. I would like, if you would allow me to, I would like to move that we amend this resolution by adding a whereas, and the whereas would state, whereas, in the interest of protecting and respecting private property rights, Grant County requests SunZia to work diligently with all private property owners that SunZia is requesting to build the transmission lines across.
And I'll second your amendment.
There's a motion and a second on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment?
I have a question. So those private property owners, I think you indicated they had been contacted. If one or more of those refuses to work with you, what's the process?
Would you like Mr. Strand to come to the podium?
If he could.
Mr. Strand, can you come to the podium?
Is there an eminent domain clause, I guess my question.
At this particular point, we do not have condemnation, but I'm going to be honest with you, I expect we will have condemnation very soon. We have already contacted probably the majority of the private property owners. There's a very low percentage. Some have said no, not in this area. Everyone in this area have indicated they want to work with us. There is one landowner that is still thinking about it in this area, but we have been trying to work diligently with them. And if you're aware of the eminent domain process, it's usually a very fair process. But to expedite things, our offer is more than generous, way above market value, and so most of the people, when we sit down and start discussing, payment and what that lease is worth, and they realize that we're offering a very fair price. We do not want to go into eminent domain, and we hope we don't have to, but at this time, we do not have that, but I do expect it, so I'm just being honest.
You expect it in one property or maybe more than one?
No, I expect that we will have eminent domain power. I hope we don't have to use it at all. And I worked 30 years in government, and to be honest with you, during that 30 years, we did not have to implement eminent domain even once.
Okay.
And so I feel, and this company feels the same way, that it's a very fair process if you're fair with the people. And usually after they realize what eminent domain means, it costs a lot more money to do it for both sides, and then usually somebody usually will advise them that, especially when you offer fair, above fair market value, then most people will come around to agreement. But I'm not going to say it's going to be 100%, but
You say fair market value, do you have a price per acre that you're offering, or how is it figured?
I'd rather keep that confidential right now. We have a non-disclosure agreement that we enter with each, and that protects them and it protects the company as well. But it is when we presented that amount, a lot of the private property owners are very surprised at what we're offering.
So, I have a question. Under what, because you're a private company, right?
Yes.
Under, how does a private company ever acquire condemnation rights?
It's going to be through, probably through a partnership. You have another power line known as South Line, and it'd probably be something very similar to what South Line has utilized already, and that's through the Western Power Association.
And they have those rights?
Yes, they do have eminent domain.
Through a utility easement type situation, or?
Right.
I didn't realize that private companies can acquire those rights.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what I'm concerned about, is potential abuses. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tran. So we still have a motion and a second on the amendment. Are we talking about the amendment, though?
I have one about the amendment.
Okay. Do the amendment first.
No, maybe my question. Go ahead.
Well, it's notoriously difficult to draft by committee, but I would love to see us split the whereas from the part that I consider a resolution. If you could phrase your whereas, and then we add a resolve to say, now be it resolved that the commission requests you diligently pursue these agreements.
Okay. Why don't we vote on this amendment, because I think you concur with this amendment, and let's have another amendment adding a resolve.
It would be, I'm splitting yours in half.
Oh, okay.
Half of yours is a whereas, to me, the whereas we care about private property rights, and then half is a resolution, the part where we urge you to do something.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Let's see if I can do that.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, you're writing this one down, because I didn't catch all of your...
Oh, no, that's your job.
I tried to write really fast.
It's being taped.
Maybe Vince typed it first. You read it.
No, I have it written down.
Okay.
So, okay. Okay, take back your second. And I'll take back my motion, and let's see. So what you're saying is, whereas, in the interest of protecting and respecting private property
Whereas
rights...
the Grant County Commission has an interest in protecting and whatever the other word was, private property rights.
County Commission, protecting and respecting...
Very good.
...private property rights...
Whereas the Grant County Commission has an interest in protecting and preserving and respecting private property rights. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Commission urge Sunzia to pursue agreement diligently. Whatever you said.
Yeah, I didn't say anything.
What did you urged them to do something?
I urged them, what I said is to work diligently with all private property owners that Sunzia is requesting to cross with their transmission lines.
That's the resolution piece, exactly. We have a whereas that states our principles, we have a resolution that's the action. We want you to do something.
Okay, so my motion to amend is going to state, whereas the Grant County Commission, in the interest of protecting and respecting...
Has an interest in protecting and respecting. We have to make it a standalone whereas.
Okay, has
an interest.
The interest of protecting and respecting private property rights.
Now, therefore, it be resolved.
Okay.
So if that's the last whereas, then we can just go right into now, therefore, be it resolved.
Okay, and then we would change the now, therefore, be it resolved below it to a be it further resolved.
Very good, exactly.
Okay, so Therefore, be it resolved that the Grant County Commission requests SunZia to work diligently with all private property owners that SunZia is requesting right-of-way or easement to cross with their transmission lines.
Perfect. And I second.
So we've got a motion and a second on an amendment to the resolution R-1717.
So, Mr. Chairman, at some point, we'll get your notes to Marissa, so she has the correct motion in there.
Yeah, she's probably got it better than I do.
She might.
She has it down verbatim.
She writes faster than I do.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Yeah, so it now reads, now therefore be it resolved that the Grant County Commission fully supports. I can't fully support this until I hear from the property owners that yes, indeed, this is all. 3 months or 6 months or next year, I don't want to hear that. Wow, 7 of my constituents right across the board had a problem.
But right now, Commissioner, we're voting on the amendment only.
Okay.
So, all those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Is there a nay?
Aye.
Okay. So the amendment passes. So now we are looking for a motion to approve Grant County, New Mexico Resolution Number R-1717 as amended.
I so move.
There's a motion.
I second.
There's a second. Any discussion? Now you're in order.
Yeah, I know that it would help their cause to have us support this with the Public Regulation Commission, but I think until I hear from, I've only heard from one of the constituents down there, and he did verify that the offer was reasonable and that it's next to an existing transmission line. But I feel apprehensive about approving this, saying we fully support it, and then 6 months or a year down the road, we find out that there was all kinds of problems with the private property owners. It's too bad that those negotiations couldn't have already been made before they...
Yeah, and I don't know if they can be or not. Further input?
I have a clarified question. Are we talking about purchasing right-of-way or leasing right-of-way in perpetuity?
Mr. Strand? Or a combination thereof?
Well, actually, it would be, unless there's going to be something like a substation site built, it would be a lease, and in most places you see this, especially in agricultural, whatever agricultural use continues, and so what we are offering is above fair market value, as if we were purchasing it. And so therefore everything seems to be very fair. Something else I forgot to mention too, the BLM conducted these studies for over 8 years, and they studied over 2,200 miles of alternative routes, and during that time some of the lines shifted somewhat, and we have a little bit of flexibility at this point to still shift lines, and I can tell you, one of the property owners who had 2 section lines, that's 2 miles, it was on state lease land just above them. Well, then when the more we talked to them, and their main objection was they just didn't like the sightliness of the more power lines, but the more we talked to them, they said, now wait a minute, it's going to be right in state lease land. If that's going to be the case, why don't you move it 200 feet and move it onto our private land so we can be compensated for it? So we have done that in many cases. In many cases, we've tried to identify where we can use, if a private property owner doesn't want it, as long as it's within our scope that we can make adjustment, we have altered some of those lines over to BLM or state lease lands. So there's quite a few things that we've done to accommodate, and really be honest with you, we've moved them both ways. We've moved them onto federal and state land, and we've moved them from federal and state land back onto private land, because some of the people do want, and as far as let's talk about Grant County alone. I do not know of any objections from any of the Grant County ranch owners. The one that I was talking about in your area is not in Grant County. And to be honest with you, I found out yesterday, talking to one of the ranchers, that there's a very large facility that's planned for that Grant County area, and so those particular ranchers are wanting the lines on there, because without the lines, they have no potential to put in these large generation facilities. It's a wind. There is some solar, being kicked around, but like I said yesterday, when I talked Tuesday, we need more wind to complement the solar. And so somebody that has wind, if you have wind and solar both, which southwestern New Mexico does, you even have it better. But right now, the big commodity is going to be the wind generation. There are a couple spots, if you look at your wind map very carefully, there are a couple spots in Grant County and a little bit in Hidalgo County, a couple of spots over in Luna County. Other than that, most of our wind is up in north central New Mexico. But maybe if it makes you feel a little bit better about it, I can positively say that we do not have any objection from any of the Grant County ranchers that I am aware of.
I have not heard from anybody from anybody from Grant County. The only person I've heard from is not in Grant County. So, okay, further discussion on the motion. Seeing none, do I need to do a roll call vote? I don't think so. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Tran, for coming and explaining all that to us. I've nearly got it written out. Okay, approve or disapprove resolution R-1717. We already did that. See, I get off once in a while. Bids and requests for proposals. Approve or disapprove RFP 1606 for audit services for fiscal year 2016 and 17.
So moved.
So you got to say who you approve it for on this one.
Kriegel.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve Kriegel, Gray, and Shaw Company. Is there any discussion? I have a little bit. I did do some background on them. The CPAs that I talked to felt as though this was a better choice for us. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Can I get a motion to recess the Grant County Board of Commissioners? So moved. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. I call to order the Grant County Health Care Claims Board. One item on the agenda today, way down, is to approve or disapprove the March 2017 health plan claims in the amount of $16,878.61. That includes 13 claims to Gila Regional Medical Center in the amount of $14,326.78, and 3 claims to GRMC Ambulance for $2,551.83 for that total of $16,878.61.
I move to approve. Second.
The motion is second to approve the health plan claims. Any discussion?
Just a quick question, maybe quick. So I've been following these for 5 months, because I started a little early. It doesn't seem to me we're going to get anywhere near the increment that we collect for this purpose. Am I calculating correctly?
Mm-hmm. Not really, but also need to account that we pay for the inmates' health care.
Okay.
The detention center out of this increment as well.
And so with those,
the instant they're incarcerated, they're indigent.
Yes, right. I remember that.
So
with those two combined, we'll be close?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I hope we don't have to take anything out of the general fund.
That is also still sit there.
Yeah. And we can't spend it on anything otherwise either without changing the whole question. So, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Adjourn as the Grant, can I get a motion to adjourn as the Grant County Health Care? Second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Call back to order the Grant County Board of Commissioners. And the commissioners will stand for elected officials' reports. Sheriff, you want to start?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Just want to report over the month of March, we had a total of 533 calls for service in the Sheriff's Office. Out of those calls, we generated 130 reports, and we investigated 11 motor vehicle crashes. We did serve a total of 47 warrants in the county. Stats for March 2017 in our Civil Process Division, we did serve 539 papers, which includes DVOs, subpoenas, and writs. We had 11 round-trip transports to prisons and other facilities for a total of 5,796 miles that were put in. Currently, we are providing assistance for the Tour of the Gila bike races, which has been a challenge. We do get numerous complaints about the bikers, and I just want to encourage the public to work with us and work with the community, work with these bike races. It does bring in revenue, and it brings a positive impact to our community. I do understand the community gets frustrated with the bikes, but it is a positive thing for our community, and we need to try and make it work and work the best that we can. So we have handled some calls in regards to that, but I see it working out. We're also currently preparing for upcoming events, which are other revenue builders for the county, which is going to be the Blues Fest. That is held, the majority is held in the city, but we are requested by the city to provide assistance with a lot of the events that they handle in the city. And then we're also preparing for the rodeo, which is coming up, as you did the proclamation earlier. That is always a challenge for us, trying to get traffic in and out. So we do work diligently with, hopefully we have a meeting soon to go over how we're going to plan this and prepare this event. Currently, we're also preparing for the school proms that are happening. I know Silver, I'm not sure about Cobre, I know Silver's is this weekend. That's always a challenge for us, trying to keep our kids safe. So we do have extra patrols, and that hopefully to prevent anything from happening on those nights. Staff has been extremely busy. We have been very busy with a lot of high-intensity calls, as you guys have read in the paper on some of them. The staff has been really busy. We are trying to keep up with the workload. We're also covering Hurley and Santa Clara a lot of the time, and I have no control over that. And I'm going to provide the service for those residents. They are in Grant County, and I will not deny anybody any service if they call requesting the county, because the municipalities don't have coverage. We will still cover. So that has kept us quite busy. With summer coming, I foresee us to be a little bit more busy. Currently, we are fully staffed, but I do have 3 deputies waiting to hear back from the state police. I have had calls on backgrounds already, so I'm anticipating on losing possibly 3 within a month. So that's going to take a toll on us. Currently, the legislature has passed 2 bills. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with these bills, which one is House Bill 9, which is the tourniquets and trauma kits. The agencies are going to be responsible for supplying their staff with trauma kits, tourniquet kits. It's going to be at a cost to the agency. It's not something that the state is going to give us extra money for. The other one is House Bill 370, which has to do with the opiate overdose. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one. It's called House Bill 370, and it's epi-type deal medicine that's going to be called naloxone, that's supposed to help with overdoses. As you're aware, there's a lot of overdose going on in the nation in regards to heroin, meth. So that is also something that each agency is going to have to supply to their staff, that they will have in their cruisers, to provide if they encounter somebody that has overdosed. That is also going to be a cost to the county that we're going to have to provide. The discussion is that we followed up and researched with all this stuff is that the legislature is going to put it on us to utilize our law enforcement protection funds to pay for a lot of this. With these things coming on being put on us, We also have to provide the training in how to utilize this stuff, because there's going to be a lot of us that do not understand how to use tourniquets, trauma kits, inject this naloxone. It's going to be a big challenge for us in doing this. So I just wanted to bring that to you light when we discuss budget and stuff, because I utilize my law enforcement protection fund for a lot of training and equipment that we purchase for our use, and this is going to be an additional cost. From what I understand, each naloxone, whatever it is going to be $70 a piece to have. That's what the cost is going to be per naloxone, and I have 37 staff that are going to have them in their cars, ready and available, and that's just one dose.
Do they expire?
I'm not sure on that. If they,
You have to buy, it's like every 6 months.
So that's something that we're going to have to keep a close eye on and continue to do. Other than that, we've been, business as usual, and I want to thank my staff for what they do. I really do appreciate them. I'll stand for any questions.
So on the naloxone, do we have any idea if that can be billed to Medicaid or anything like that? Have we explored that?
I have not explored that, and it's a new bill that was just passed, and the governor approved, or didn't veto, and approved it, so we're still researching it. We're still not sure exactly how it's all going to transpire.
And so you would have to have one in each car, each cruiser. Can you tell us how many times in your estimation that you might have to burn one?
Well, with the trend right now is with the use of heroin and meth, it's possibly could happen more than 3 times a week. It's pretty bad right now with the use, so.
That's over $10,000 a year, just right there.
I believe that Representative Dow was a co-sponsor on that bill. Maybe she's the person we need to speak to try and get us some monies for that, since if she was... Yeah, because, as a county commissioner, I'm so tired of getting these unfunded mandates and from the state, and I know the thought process behind it is, good thought, but where's the money going to come from? And again, out of our pockets.
Right.
I was doing some math, I think it's 1,000, right? Each dose is how much?
70, from what I was
So
told.
70 times 50 times 3.
That's the use dose, but then you have the end-use dose that expire too.
And we don't know the expiration rate.
Right.
What are yours in school? I think mine are like 2 years. Maybe 3.
I want to disclaim that I'm not the school nurse.
You're not the
I thought they were 6 months, but I don't know why we would have different ones than you. So maybe ours are 2 years.
I know mine are at least good for a school year.
Okay. That could easily be.
And then
In any case, it's not naloxone.
No, it's not.
We have one. It's not I.
Not to make this meeting even longer, but this brings up a related topic. I've talked to several of your officers who say they provide their own equipment. Can you shed some light on what equipment and how often that happens?
As far as what you're talking about, it has not been brought to my attention. We provide, the main thing that each staff member does have to provide when they get hired with our agency is they have to provide their own weapon, which is their sidearm. They have to bring in a weapon with whatever goes with that weapon. They have to provide it. We do supply them with the ammunition to qualify and carry on duty. Other than that, anything else that I can buy with this law enforcement protection fund or that we can buy, I get for them. The main thing that I see that I cannot afford right now is to buy them weapons, but that is something that is on my list that I'd like to try and get a standard issued weapon by the county to give to the officers, because if they are ever involved in a shooting, we have to take their gun, and by union contract, I have to supply them with a weapon. I would rather have it issued by the county, and if anything happens, we have a weapon and we have an extra one to give them. We're not taking their personal property, which it is, because they are supplying it. Other than that,
standard across the state or across the country for a law enforcement officer to provide his own weapon?
no, it isn't. There's a lot of agencies that supply everything.
Okay.
So we are one of the few left that require they bring in their own weapon.
There you get to 40,000 pretty quick. There you go. Okay.
I just wanted to bring up one other bill that was passed, and it has to do with, say something happened to the sheriff and there was nobody to fill in the shoes. I think it's House Bill 321. It allows the highest ranking person to take over the responsibility until somebody is appointed by the commission. There was an incident that happened on the east here in New Mexico where they didn't know what to do when the sheriff passed away, and so there was a legislation that was brought forward directing that the highest ranking official remaining will take those responsibilities until the commission appoints somebody. That was House Bill 321 that was approved. Yeah, it's the commission that appoints the...
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any further questions for the sheriff? Thanks. Appreciate what you do. Mr. Assessor.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members, county manager, our county attorney. I would just like to start off with, I guess Scott Terry threw a curveball at me yesterday because of the groundbreaking of Tucasa. I support it, I'm for it, and same with the celebration with Fort Beard. However, he made the statement that heck was going to freeze over because I wasn't there. But yesterday was my evaluation day from the state of New Mexico, and I was quite torn not to be able to make it, but I'm so glad that went through.
I had him go ahead and mail that directly to me so I could see it first.
Okay. Thank you there, Mr. Chairman. Well, for starters, I'm so glad our Senator Morales was here to speak about our legislative. We did back off from House Bill 412 because it had so many holes in it and it needed a lot of work. And when it all started in August of 2016, us assessors had all the opportunities to talk about it. And not only that, we had to testify and we had to give a couple presentations on how the tax laws. But Jason Harper, he's a good guy. He's done a very good job, but I got a feeling it's gonna take a long time before the bill of all bills will get through anything at this moment. On April 18, 2017, I reported on the reinspection plan and gave the first assessor's report on 736-16-E NMSN for the New Mexico Property Tax Evaluator, Daniel Sabrano. And I got a feeling Mr. Sabrano knows Mr. Caston pretty good, so we talked about you. I know a couple other more things about you, so I thought I'd let you know. And he's actually an appraiser specialist too, but he did a very good job, and I was so glad that we pretty much got through it. The evaluation, the annual evaluation for 2017 was conducted on April 18th, 19th of 2017, and the final report will be given to me from Property Tax Division within a few months. Once I do that, I give it directly to our county manager. I have submitted my projected budget of my 401, 499 to the state, and that's one thing that they request right off the bat to Property Tax Division, and I did that on April 19th of 2017. On April 21st of 2017, I will be meeting with Raul Valdez from the MVD for Taxation and Revenue, and I was appointed by the assessor's affiliate to communicate with all the assessors around the state on regarding the manufactured homes to discuss the data and sent to the assessor's office. And it's the online data and the reports from MVD, and to discuss the TLR versus the tapestry. And I do work very close with our county treasurer about that. So I will be having a report down the road on that one. 3 of my employees in the office are taking course 101, the fundamentals of real estate appraisals under the IWO, the International Association of Assessing Officers, and will be completing their test by May 9th, 2017. And once again, by technology, we're going to do it here in the office online. So I'm so glad that saves a lot of money for people that travel. We do have the approach to valuation come July 24th, 28th of 2017, and I will be sending a couple employees to Socorro, and it's actually a whole week of training for the income approach to valuation. Now that one's a pretty difficult course. We completed the rendition period on the notices of evaluation that we mailed out on April 5th, the exemptions for veteran exemptions, head of household exemptions, the limitation of valuation increases for the residential property. It still can be done. You have until May 5th to take care of that. We did hire a temporary employee by the name of Charlene Flitzer, and I've heard nothing but positive things about her, and I'm looking forward to training her and putting her on board. The Assessors Affiliate are having their spring conference April 26th through the 28th of 2017 in Gallup, New Mexico, and which I will be presenting. So I'm taking one of my employees, and once again, that's April 26th through the 28th. We did impose a 3% cap for the year 2017. Any questions, please contact the assessor's office. And like I said, everything's running pretty smooth in my office. I really appreciate my employees. I'm going to have some really interesting numbers coming up by June 15th once I certified. I stand for any questions.
Seeing none. So those of you that have never met Jason Harper, Representative Harper, I advise you to go visit with the guy next legislature. He's a PhD in chemical engineering, and when he starts talking tax code, it gets really wonky really fast.
Mr. Chairman, when I first met him, and we were talking about gross receipts, and they did about a 3-hour presentation, and whenever you're in high school, you see those nerds, they're 15, 16 years old, whatever. Try to see 70, 60-year-old nerds. Let me tell you, it just goes right over your head. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Treasurer, I think you might have a guest today. Is that right?
Well, hopefully, she may be here more often than she thinks, but as I like to...
Is this your announcement?
Not quite. No, I'd just like to introduce Melanie Crispin. She's my new chief deputy. She's got a lot of years' experience in the banking system, so I'm really glad she's hit the ground running. I've had to tell her, hey, slow down. And she just,
I've worked with her, and there's no slowing her down.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, I'd like to congratulate you for being our new chief deputy in there, and you're an awesome worker. The only thing I don't like is I just lost one of my loan officers from the bank. So, but other than that, hey, congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Anything else today, Steve? I know you're going to go over your report.
Well, before I go through the report, I'd just like to announce that Property Tax Division has set the next tax sale. It will be held on Tuesday, May the 16th at 9 a.m. at the Grant County Veterans Memorial and Business Conference Center. There's 53 items.
What date is that again?
The 16th of May.
Does the chamber know about that?
Well, when we reserved the room, yeah.
Okay.
That was already, well, it's on the log, so. So that, like I said, there's 53 items on there at the current time. We have reached out to all of them, and as the state has as well, and we're not really sure what kind of, resolution there may be for some of those people, but that may not be the final list, and it will be published in the newspaper for 3 weeks prior to the sale. We will have packets in our office possibly the middle of next week, depending on... We work with the assessor's office in providing us the maps for the locations, so it makes it easier for the people to research the properties and so on. So hopefully we can get the list down to next to nothing between now and then, but so during the month of
the last part of March and the first part of April, we've collected $263,468.53 for the county. So, there's still a lot out there, and hopefully with this tax season will end May the 10th, or actually that's the deadline for without penalty and interest. So we'll have to take a look at it again and see where we're at then, and then we'll move forward. Any questions?
Off the hot seat, Steve. Thank you very much. Nice report. Welcome, Melanie. I hope you enjoy working here at the county. It's a great place.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk? No report. Have I missed anybody? I don't think so, so we'll go into commissioners, and we'll start with Commissioner Brown. He's got a prepared remark.
Not very prepared, just scribbled notes. I had the opportunity finally to serve on the committee to which I'm assigned, the Grant County Regional Dispatch Authority. I enjoyed my first meeting. I particularly enjoyed seeing Barb Shalkovsky. She seems extremely competent, knew answers to questions right away, and I very much appreciated her apparent attitude towards staff and training and retention. And we discussed the potential for getting some raises, because they're not particularly well paid right now. The budget looked in good shape. She was given the go-ahead to pursue that with the union, and I was very happy to see that happen. I attended the Silver City Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee meeting yesterday, and I don't think Misha's here, but I remain concerned that there is, on an ongoing basis, no coordination between the county development and the city development. And I don't even have any specific ideas of what should be coordinated. It just feels like there should be coordination. The city's an important part of the county, and what the county does with its plan also affects the city. And when I asked Jamie, she said no, that hasn't happened. I attended the CAP entity meeting on Tuesday, as did our representative, Mr. Ramos, and you might have more to say, but I acknowledge that I'm inclined to view things this way already, but it sure did seem like that group is flailing, and as some I guess reinforcement that this isn't just my opinion. That was the exact word that Chairwoman Shannon used. She also, I think, feels they're flailing a bit. There's still no project. We still have no effective RFP for an engineer to work on a 30% design so that there can be a NEPA analysis. Time's a-wasting. Lawyers' bills are going up. There was confusion about deadlines. I was really surprised to hear that there wasn't a specific answer to whether we have to meet this July deadline or not. It's not moving very fast, and my concerns continue that we are losing money that's available for non-diversion alternatives every month, and that we're going to come out at the end with no project and none or very little federal money for things that we want to do for water development and water conservation in the four-county area. And Friday, I will be going to the, I believe it's the initial meeting of a community-wide effort to develop some permanent supportive housing. A very ambitious project. I'm very curious what will be said. We heard from Mike Carrillo on Tuesday that this is a project important to him because many folks leaving the detention center don't have a place to go. If nobody else is going, I look forward to reporting back on what I learned. So thank you very much.
Yeah, he said that today, Commissioner. It never really dawned on me that we didn't have halfway houses and stuff like that. But on the other hand, I also know we have no funding to do that. But, so yeah.
We're ambitious again.
Yeah. Commissioner Billings.
I just don't know where to start, so I'll try to make this as quick as I can. I guess I have questions about what we're doing, the county's doing as far as long-range planning, or what's been done, instead of just putting out fires. That seems like that's what I've done so far, is take calls from constituents and pass them on and put out fires. I'd like to see, and I'm sure something's in the works, so I'd like to have some discussion on that, like long-range planning, 5 years, whatever, out. Also, and maybe I could ask Charlene this, but does the commission have a written set of expectations from the manager, and how does your evaluation process work with the commission?
Typically, it's up to each board how you choose to evaluate your manager. I can provide you with an evaluation form if the board chooses to.
So have you
do that.
have you been tasked regularly and evaluated in the past, or?
Not since I've been here, no.
Okay.
And before, it depended on what board I was working for, whether they did a formal evaluation or just pulled me in and discussed things verbally. It's up to the board.
I do want to remind you all that you can discuss this in a privileged executive session too.
Okay.
So I think that was excellent. Discussing the process is very different than discussing the content of the evaluation, right? I'm very happy that we're having a process discussion in public. I think that's appropriate.
And did you want me to address your question on planning?
No.
Yes, please.
As far as planning, that is what Misha and I are diligently working on. The first part of that is to have a usable, comprehensive plan. Then, beginning next fiscal year, we will put an asset management plan. We will have that developed, because we currently don't have that. So those are the first steps in moving forward, developing a short-range and long-range plan. So it's baby steps at this point, but we are moving forward with that.
Okay.
There have been plans in the past. I'll tell you the truth, I was involved in one that involved the whole county and every municipality, and we spent 6 months, a year on, and when they got all done and handed it to us, it just got put on a shelf.
Yeah, okay.
The commissions changed, councils changed. They looked at it and go, that's not what we want to do. It's like chasing cats, because we can start one now, and by the time we get it done, one of you won't be elected, the other one won't want to run, we'll be gone. You know, every council will be different, and they'll go, we don't like that.
I like your answer, thank you.
It's the truth.
Okay. No.
I mean,
I can see that as being the truth, yeah. Sort of related to that, we've talked a lot about the conference center. One thing that we haven't talked about, or I'd like to express my opinion on, is TUCASA. I don't, it's because of my own fault, and I know the paperwork's there, I've seen it in your office. I have not studied fully the purpose all the way. I understand a lot of it, but I know that part of the purpose of TUCASA will be to rehabilitate, is that correct?
Continuum of care directed towards substance abuse, whether it be alcohol or drugs.
So does it help to, and I don't know the correct terminology, it helps people to get off drugs on a permanent basis?
should be at the end of that process. That's what we were talking about with the 3 legs of the stool.
Okay.
You start off with the chemical dependency at the hospital, and that may take 7 to 10 days to break the chemical dependency, and that's why Yucca Lodge was so important as the second leg of the stool, is because it was a residential center that you could go and get treatment and be with other people that are in the same situation. And I'm not a psychologist, and I didn't stay in the Holiday Inn Express last night, but that was a pertinent part of this. And once you did your 28 days in Yucca Lodge, you could come out and you can go to CASA and continue your treatment. We were losing them, and the minute they left Yucca Lodge, they drove by someplace and got a bottle, or went by their buddies and got a baggie, or whatever their problem was, and we were losing them immediately. And then we started the cycle again by putting them in our detention center and then getting them in the hospital, and we weren't gaining anything. I'm not going to profess that I'm an expert on this by any means, but the people that are experts said that this is the portion that we're missing.
The Lodge portion.
No.
Oh, okay, the Tucasa portion.
And we're missing the Yucca Lodge portion now, but that wasn't our fault.
So if someone gets apprehended, say they're just intoxicated, they will go to the detention center first or to Tucasa first?
This gives law enforcement the opportunity to take them to Tucasa first.
Okay.
If that's their only, if
If they're just drunk.
if they're only
No
intoxicated or under the influence and there's no violations, then yes, they can. If there are violations, then they must take them to the detention center.
Okay. And is there some sort of a measurement process to see the success of Tucasa? Whatever their goals and objectives are that I should be more familiar with, I apologize. Is there a measurement process to see whether we're meeting those? And is it HMS that's gonna?
HMS is contracted to provide those services, and I could talk about this for the next 4 hours. So
Yeah.
I could go through. I
Well,
have all of Ron's notes, or I could bring Ron in, and he would be the best person to explain to you, or I could go through his notes with you. I have.
If there's interest amongst the commission, maybe we could have that at a future meeting. There's some big changes coming at Gila Regional. One is there's 2 trustee appointment positions up. I understand County Manager Webb is going to be advertising those. One of those, Dr. Manzanares, I understand, is not going to reapply. And Dr. Wachuku from the physician side, I understand, is going to reapply. But just wanted to make it known that those 2 trustees' positions will be being filled. I think those are for July 1st, is that?
Well, we'll probably do that in the June meeting.
June meeting, so in case the paper wanted to get that out. Also, the change in the Cancer Center after 23 years of having New Mexico Cancer Center here in our Cancer Center, Dr. McEnany, it's my understanding that there's been a change, and they've gone out and decided that UNM will be providing those services. That's subject to negotiating the contract with UNM. I talked to Chairman of Trustees Garcia, and he assured me, it wasn't my question, he brought this up, that one of their goals is to protect the caregivers because, as he explained to me, his wife is a cancer patient. He knows what it is firsthand to lose your caregivers or have caregivers change. So our patients will hopefully have the same caregivers at the Cancer Center if this change is made. There is an appeals process. Dr. McEnany may go for that, and I would just call on, without any authority to do so, I would just ask the trustees to ask all the right questions as they negotiate this contract, if there is an appeals process before they make. 23 years is a long time to have something to make the change, so I trust the trustees to ask the right questions before these changes are made. I hope that public discussion is involved, especially with the stakeholders, including the physicians. There's a lot of them that aren't on board with this, and maybe there's a lot that are, but it's my understanding that the physicians want more input. Dr. McEnany expressed to me in a telephone conversation that she'd like to have contact with the press. So I have her contact information if you haven't already talked to her. When Senator Morales was here, and I respect his visit, and you can cut me off when I'm gone over. We talked about all the problems, and these are immediate problems. And so I'm thinking, what caused all of this, besides people from 2 parties butting heads and you know. So I'm looking at decreased oil and gas revenues. and that's a cyclical industry. So then, and that's basically, oil and gas revenues are down, so we've got this budget crunch, and it's going to continue. And the next year could be as bad or worse. So I'm thinking, I'm in an industry that is cyclical, the beef industry. In fact, we're more cyclical. The beef industry has cycles from 15 to 30 years. We just got through the historical peak cycle in my business in 2015. So 2017, nationally, beef producers will lose money. That's a fact. We knew that was coming because we know that our business is cyclical, and so we were cutting in the fat times. We weren't buying new pickups. We were cutting back and saving. What I'm trying to say is it's too bad that county government with the cyclical copper industry and the state government with the cyclical oil and gas, it's too bad they can't understand that this is cyclical, and during the peak times, save money back. I don't know if there's a process for that, but it's too bad that there's not. Because when you're making megabucks and you're spending it all in the peak times, then obviously in the bust times, you're going to have a big fight at the legislature. You're going to be short of money. And I don't know if there's anything that's been done on the county level, knowing that we're going to have, we have a copper industry that's boom and bust here, and it's going to be that way. And everything is cyclical. When somebody gets their paycheck that has a regular government job, a good steady job, they don't spend it all on Friday and then wake up Tuesday morning wondering what they're going to do. They know that they're not going to get paid again for 2 weeks, and that's a short cycle, but these longer cycles take more preparation and planning. Just want to throw that out. And if there is anything that the county government can do, can we save money back? Or do we just have to spend everything that comes through the door?
If you ask the elected officials and department heads, I ask them to save too much.
Okay.
Well, and I want to say something about that too. I think that in the last 6 years, Commissioner, that the way things are being spent here has changed. When Gabe and I first got here, our first 6 or 7 presentations would have been from people asking for money. Whether it be, a plethora of different people asking for money. You haven't been asked for a dime from the public yet. We said there are specific things that the county should provide. There are things that the county can provide, and there's things that the private industry or somebody else should provide. And we I don't know that we had a formal process, but that process worked, and we have cut back on spending. Now, one of the other things, as far as a number of employees, from the time we got here till now, I think we've increased 2. That's unheard of in government. Now, that's not exactly how some of the, like you said, the department heads and all those people, they're not terribly happy with that, but we have held the line on a lot of stuff. Where we were not able to hold the line is on the detention center. We have to hold and detain those people by law. And if we're not being reimbursed for that, like we were previously, that had to come out of general funds. If we had those general funds back in our coffers, we would be doing very well. So just don't be so hard on yourself when you say we're not saving money. We've done an awfully good job. We've taken over paying for the detention, their portion of the detention center, and we're still providing every service we ever had. So
I appreciate that, and I think the public is interested in this conversation. So
can I have just a brief answer also to one piece of your question? Can we save, and can the state save? And the way that looks is reserves, right? And so the state did have significant reserves built up, not high enough if we weren't going to raise revenues, which is what's happening now. But we did have significant reserves, and we have spent them down in these lean times. And the county's doing the same thing, right? When we hear about ours taking money out of operating cash, we're cutting into our carryover because revenues are down. right now, but we had a carryover because we didn't spend everything before. So how it looks is that way. At least, there's a lot through my school lens. That's how it looks at the school. We have a cash carryover, and then when we running a deficit, as we are this year, we have to eat into that cash carryover.
Okay. Your floor, Mr. Commissioner. I'm sorry.
So I think maybe two more short items. I met with the lodgers tax, what do you call them? Advisory board. And they said that lodgers tax receipts are down while tourism is up. So there's some sort of, they don't know how to address this, but there's people who are hosting lodging are not paying their lodgers taxes, the long and short of it. It's a problem in the city too. And anyhow, we're short on time, but I just want to bring that to your attention. And I would support, along with the discussions we've had about unfunded mandates, for all the good it would do, I'd support a resolution, and you've probably done them before, to the legislature and whoever else about the jail, all these unfunded mandates. Please stop. Unfunded mandates. So if the rest of the commission is in favor of that, we can send a resolution for, like I say, for all the good it would do. But to our local representatives,
I really think the sheriff just ought to quit arresting people. Solve part of our problem.
Create others. Well, back to the EpiPen of the drug.
Yeah, no.
There's just one after another. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Hey, no, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Edley?
So, first, I just want to thank Commissioner Billings for all the time and energy spent on the GRMC CEO search committee. I know that they had a raft of resumes to read, and there was no pressure to find a miracle worker or anything like that. So, but I really appreciate the amount of time and energy that he spent doing that. I'm going to keep it short, but I do want to just say one thing in response to some of the comments that Mr. Billings made about the reserves and savings and all that kind of stuff. And I know that this is dreadfully unpopular to talk about, but we have a gigantic pot of savings in this state. It's called the Land Grant Permanent Fund. And I have a ton of research on how we could get ourselves out of that mess using land grant permanent funds and not use them all. And I'm appalled that that's not on the table, given the level of suffering that's happening in this state. So, that's it.
Yeah. Commissioner?
Well, I'll keep it as short as possible also. To CASA yesterday, I'm so sorry I missed the groundbreaking. Unfortunately, we've got a job to do, right? But, my apologies for missing the TUCASA groundbreaking. I heard it was really well attended, and thank you for the ones that did attend, and thanks for all the people that have been involved. I would really like to challenge our new administrator at the hospital on using one of the pods to use some of that, to bring some of that inpatient care that we need, that Yucca Lodge has taken away from this area. We've got one pod that's filled with nothing but offices, and I think it's time we clear those offices and put something together that we really need in this community. We can cry about Yucca Lodge all we want, but it's over, and it's time to move on and try and figure something out. So that's my biggest challenge to the administrator, and I'll definitely like to meet with her and talk to her about that. And hopefully we can do that as a team. Fort Bayard, I've been having meetings with Santa Clara and the area COG leader, which is Priscilla Lucero. We've got the MOU going, so that was one of my meetings this last month. I'm so happy that the Veterans Conference Center is available now for people to rent. I've gotten tons of calls of people, what's going on, so I'm so glad that that's available now. I did get a few calls from people that work at the Cancer Center also, really wondering what's going on with UNM and our local hospital. And the RFP was put out, and when that RFP is put out, I'm thinking it would have to have been in one of our papers here. So when those RFPs are out, I mean, that should give some of these people notice that something's going on. And I would like to say that I fully trust our people that are representing us on the GRMC board, and I would really want to think that they've done everything they can to keep that local, but obviously there are some things that had to have happened to create an RFP for that portion. So,
Haney's not here yet.
yeah. Okay, so maybe you can cover a little bit of that, but I mean, this was a new problem to me, and I did talk to Jeremiah Garcia also, and he did say that one of his main goals was to try and keep the caregivers that are there now, because that does make a difference when it comes to treatment and the patients. But that's all I've got. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. I too apologize for not being able to be at Tucasa. I had no coverage at the bus company yesterday afternoon. I want to welcome Taffy Arias as the new GRMC CEO. I wish you the best. I hope that you can be the person that the board and the committee think you are. I appreciate Commissioner Billings serving on that committee also. And that's all I have today. We are going to go into an executive session in accordance with NMSA 1978-10-15-1H8. We're going to be discussing a disposal of real property currently owned by Grant County. Can I get a motion to go into executive session? So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to go into executive session. Can I get a roll call vote?
Yes. Commissioner Edwards, are you aware that you will be entering executive session? Yes. Chairman Caston, are you aware that you will be entering executive session?
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos, are you aware that you will be entering executive session?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Billings, are you aware that you will be entering executive session?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown, are you aware that you will be entering executive session?
Yes, I am. Okay, we are now in executive session, and we will adjourn immediately after executive session with no action on any items.